Hey there everybody, and welcome to Gavisas. This is our great Star Wars extravaganza, and life is going to be real interesting here in a couple minutes because I don't know why. As you can see tonight, we are using the first ever of our very poorly constructed, not entirely effectual green screen technology, not just to obscure the horrific terror which is my face, but also, you know, kind of the rest of the room, kind of blending with the scenery here of, you know, look, there we go, Snoke's throne room. It's nice. At least I think it is. Might just be my own opinion, and in fact it is. Haha. Anyway, tonight we're going to be discussing in great detail, and just for clarification, this is not just for my stream tonight, but also this will be going up on YouTube later. Sans music. I know, tragic, but it is what it is and must be. So, those of you who are new to the stream, or who are familiar with the stream, Dr. Saxlove will be playing here all night long. For those of you not part of the stream, who are maybe catching this later on YouTube, check out Dr. Saxlove at youtube.com, or youtube.com/Dr. Saxlove. There'll be a link to him in the description down below. He provides all my music on stream, and unfortunately you can't hear it because I don't want to mess with his copyright. I've done it on some stuff before, but I'm not going to do that tonight. So, preliminaries out of the way, let's get into this. And so, before I get into this, let's cover some ground rules. I'm going to start off by doing a quick overview. Thank you, Terp, for that host. I appreciate it. Glad you can make it in tonight. Just going to do quick ground rules. I'm going to start with a short, very brief overview of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And throughout that, I'll be, you know, trying to respond to you and you know, interact with you people. And then I'm going to make a delineating point. I'm going to say, okay, stop, hold on, pull back, and we're going to make a very firm, very resolute spoiler warnings for anyone who has not seen the film. Can either leave the stream. I know it's a weird thing to do, tell people to leave your stream, or leave the video. Also a weird thing to do, so that they don't get spoiled if they don't want to be. But we're not there yet, so stick around. Thank you. Anyway, so, first and foremost, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. What did I think of this movie? Well, I want to kind of back up a little bit and say, like, going into this movie, I had a lot of expectations, most of them negative, because I was terrified that Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, everybody else was going to be just, or as it turned out, Ryan Stevenson, he was the director, right? He was the one who directed this, right? Come on, get past all this stuff. Yeah. Okay, Ryan Stevenson. So, I was terrified that they were going to do this very cliche thing. They're going to make Rey, you know, a descendant of the Skywalkers and all this kind of stuff. And this was all my stuff going into it prejudging. And I was prepared to be very, very upset with a lot of the answers to all of the big questions that The Force Awakens, you know, brought up. Like, who is Snoke? Who are Rey's parents? Where did the First Order manifest this gigantic army? Hey, Sir Oswyn, welcome to the stream. All right, Terp. I totally understand. I am going to be trying to get to bed at some sort of reasonable hour tonight. It may or may not work out very well. Yes, may or may not. Yes, Star Wars! Also green screen, very poorly put together. You can see all the wrinkles. It's beautiful, but just accept it and let's move on with life. Of course you have to say it, Oswyn. Of course you have to say Star Wars. It's a requirement, my friend. Anyway. So, I go in with a lot of negative expectations. I'm thinking they're just going to completely ruin Star Wars for me. It's going to completely throw me off my game. I'm going to hate it, and I don't like it. And I walked into the theater angry. I know, Oswyn, but it kind of fits with the whole, like, you know, dark throne room kind of thing. I'm kind of digging it, even with all the wrinkles and creases and the movement and the wagging around. And if it suddenly starts moving in the middle of this thing, and I'm clearly not doing that, that's the cat. She's found something that is fascinating with it, and occasionally decides to play with it. So, if you ever see it moving and it's not me, it's her. I did not hear about your experience of watching the movie, Oswyn, but in a little bit, well, actually, when I run out of steam on some stuff, I was going to open this up and get some guys into the streaming channel on Discord, so that they could kind of interact and kind of fill in the last bit here. I just kind of want to get through this opening review, and then I'll pull you in, and we'll do this. I just want to get to the point where we're going to do spoilers, because when you get in there, that'll be a good time for that. If you want to. I'm not gonna force you or anything if you don't want to be a part of this. So, just first of all, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Anyway, so I go in there very low expectations. Well, actually, very high expectations because I want good Star Wars. And then I go. But I also had like low expectations because I was expecting bad Star Wars or something that was not Star Wars. And so here's my bottom line review. My went in angry, came out other things, and we will discuss that in greater length in a bit. It is a movie worth watching. It is absolutely beautiful. It is a gorgeous, just feast for the eyes every step of the way. The effects are fantastic. It has this is a clip or a picture that I have up behind me here, or through me, kind of how that works. There is the entire thing is just beautifully set up and scened, and everything else like that is beautiful. And there's a couple scenes which are some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on film ever. And so those are just, for the visual spectacle of it alone, this is a movie worth watching. For the story, it has a couple slogs, which I'm not real thrilled with. They're just kind of, they do some things which I think could have been done better or done without. And so it's kind of like, I don't really know how those work for me, or rather, I would have most of the things that they do in this movie that I don't like, I think could have been done better by just changing one or two small elements of it, and it would have been like an entirely different feel to it, which have been, in my opinion at least, much better. Which would kind of built more on some things they established in The Force Awakens, which they kind of ignored in this one, which, no spoilers, is kind of the main point that they drive throughout this entire thing. Doing away with things from The Force Awakens and other Star Wars established things, which it's good and it's bad. That really is kind of my takeaway from this. It's kind of a good and bad movie. What it's really good at, it's spectacular at. Great lightsaber fights. There's great there's some mediocre dog fights. You're not gonna get. You don't really get the trench run. You don't feel that visceral feeling. It doesn't do space very well. It doesn't really feel like space is big as it has been in some other Star Wars movies. It all feels really kind of tight and confined and almost like submarine warfare through the entire thing. So, it's an uncomfortable movie in some respects, but it's also, there's some points where it's just like, this is Star Wars, and this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was so happy to be here in this theater, or in, wherever you're watching from the comfort of your own home. And you're like, yes, Star Wars! And then there's other times where it's just like, I think they could have done better. And, yeah, that's kind of what it is. You're not going to go in there as, you may go in there as a Star Wars fan and be totally happy with everything that happens. You're probably not going to go in there like I am, who may not be a Star Wars super fan, but I may be like one tier down from that. I'm really, really high up there in terms of how much I love Star Wars and how much I interact with Star Wars and how much I am just obsessed with Star Wars, for better or worse. And so there's this kind of like this give and take. Everything that you get that is given to you is great. Everything that's taken away from you is like, well, that was also great. I kind of liked that. So it's a very generally just kind of dissatisfying movie. It's a good movie. I think I would like this movie so much better if it was this. Same characters, same kind of scenario, same sort of everything going on. I think I would like this movie so much better if this movie was not Star Wars. But because it is Star Wars, because it is carrying on the narrative, because it is pushing forward the Star Wars mythos, I feel like it kind of missed some notes that it needed to hit, for better or for worse. And so, on the whole, like best out of 5, I think this is like a good 3.5 for me. Thank you for the host, Sir Oswyn. I would only give this movie about a 3.5. I liked The Force Awakens better. I thought there was a lot more just moving Star Wars things that were better things that were better presented as Star Wars in The Force Awakens than there were in this movie. And this thing kind of doubled down on some things that Force Awakens, in my opinion, got wrong. And Osmond, I'll get you in the chat in just a second. if you want to. Yeah, I kind of need like a firm yes, no on that one. Because I'm not going to just throw you in here for Feast of the Wolves. Yes, no. That's not helpful at all. That is not helpful at all, Sir Oswyn. Anyway, how about this? Just join streaming, and well, if you want to come in, and I'll get you in just a second. All right. Beautiful. So yeah, I would give this one like a 3.5 out of 5. 7 out of 10, whatever you want to call it. It was good. It was good, and it's so good. But I'm not sure it was good Star Wars. It was good something. But like I said, there are some things which they do which are presented as like the big, great moments of the film, which to me just kind of fell flat because, like, well, to me that's not Star Wars. I don't, or maybe they didn't take something far enough in their presentation of it, and so I came away both happy, disappointed, saddened, not really sure. I will say this. This is not really spoilers because, I mean, everyone kind of knows this is not really related to the film itself. But one thing that just, like, I mean, in the end credits is, okay, Star Wars, Last Jedi, directed by da-da-da-da. And then there's this next caption that says, for our princess. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes me happy. That makes my heart happy. That makes my soul happy. That they have a special part for the side of, like, hey, Carrie Fisher's not here anymore, but she's still our princess. That was. Oh, Oswyn, you leave the theater too early. I was sticking around listening to the John Williams score, which also, the music is still John Williams. It's still amazing. It's still worth sticking around at the end of the movie to listen to. Because through the rest of the movie, you can't really enjoy it. Well, you can, but you can't. Because there's a whole extra dimension to it when you just listen to it by itself. And then when you go back for the second viewing, which I will be going back for a second viewing, or however I'm going to see it a second time, I will be seeing this movie a second time. When that happens, then you get to actually recognize the music that you've heard before, and it just means so much more to you, because you're like, oh, I see how this works with the scene, and how it flows together, and how this just blends the story together with the universe, and it's great. But that might just be my experience. So yeah. Also, Carrie Fisher, great. There's a really just like, it's not like blown out and overdone, but it's just a nice little tribute right there at the end of it. And it's like the thought that occurred to me when I saw it was like, in every version of this movie, which goes on in perpetuity, because it's extended editions, director's cuts, blah blah blah, whatever may come in the future, that will always be a part of this movie, and it'll always be a tribute to a great actress and a great person who helped found and establish this great universe of fandom, which is now completely immortal, disconnected from her contribution. And I mean, it's great. I love it. So yeah, if you have not seen the movie, go and see it. I recommend it. It is a go see in theaters type of movie. I don't necessarily know if you're going to go to a theater, but if you aren't a person who goes to theaters, because some people do, some people don't. If you're not a person who goes to the theater, if you don't want to spend money for it, as soon as it arrives in a format which is palatable for you to partake in, whether that be for monetary reasons, whatever else like that, get yourself a chance to sit down and see this movie at least once, preferably 2 or 3 times. I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. It's a better movie than it is a Star Wars movie, which frustrates the fire out of me because I'm looking to see a great Star Wars movie, and instead I just saw a good movie, and I'm like, okay, I suppose I can accept that. Anyway, with that, I will draw to close the spoiler-free portion of this, and I'm assuming we're going to see a lot more discussion here. Oswyn, like I said, if you want to jump into the streaming channel on my Discord, I will be in there momentarily. I just want to really reaffirm, like, I didn't prepare it in advance. This was like this was like the extent of my preparation for this. Also my red jacket to go with the nice red background. Beyond this, I don't have any preparation for tonight. So the spoiler warnings, which should be all over the screen right now, they're not going to be there. The biggest spoiler warning you're going to get if you have not seen the movie is to go away right now. Because the spoilers are coming, they're going to be big, they're going to be in depth, they're going to be infuriating, they're going to be angering. Yeah. I'm expecting myself to get very angry over the next couple of minutes. Well, at least the next hour or so, because I remember what I did when last year, Rogue One, and that was a bit of a slogfest, and I didn't have anybody else to go with me this time. I'm still not sure if Osmond's going to be... There he is. He's in streaming. I guess I have to drag him in. Beautiful. And yeah, so we're gonna get Osmond in here, and we're gonna join this. We're gonna enter in, and it's gonna be beautiful and glorious and fantastic and terrible in all the wrong ways. So, with that, hey Oswyn!
Oh gosh.
You were not prepared, were you?
No. You're gonna give me a heart attack, man. Oh gosh.
I'm looking for the downside of this. A little shock is good for the heart.
Oh, you got it pumping, man. You got it pumping. Good to talk to you again.
Good talking with you too, sir.
Oh man.
So, now would be a good time to just address this.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well, before we get into the spoilers, I want to hear your story.
Mm-hmm.
How did you go about seeing this movie?
Like, did I watch trailers beforehand? Is that like the type of thing you're asking, or
like,
what?
What were your expectations when you went in? Also, Son of Swag, thank you for coming by. Appreciate you, sir. You're amazing.
Greetings. My expectations when I came in, best thing ever.
Okay.
Literally, the only movies that we go to in the theater. I think I'm really the only one that truly enjoys it, but the only movies that we go for the theater is Star Wars, basically now. We haven't gone to any other movies to the theater for anything else.
No Marvel, no DC, nothing like that. You're just going Star Wars.
Literally, and we wait for when it's in the red box or whatever other thing you can get.
I can appreciate that. Let's see, the first movie I saw in theaters was actually Avatar, which is a movie you kind of have to see in theaters to really fully appreciate it because of how big the spectacle was.
Is Avatar like... Shoot.
James Cameron, 2009, blue people running around on a planet. They killed Stephen Lang.
That was Avatar?
That was Avatar.
I thought... Oh yeah, wait, it was...
Yeah.
It was really 2009?
2009.
I thought Avatar was sooner.
Nope. The sequel is coming out like in 2 years. I think it's like slated for 2020.
I literally can't believe that it was 2009.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Time flies. Anyway.
I've gotten old.
You're telling me. I was 19 in 2009. I'm like, whoa. Life. I can feel it in my bones. All of them. Anyway, so you're saying about going to see Star Wars.
Yeah, that's literally the only movies that I'll go to the theater for. Yes, granted, like we've seen other movies like The Avengers is the one that comes to mind, but other movies in theaters, but literally that's the one that I make sure I don't miss.
Okay.
That's how much I love it.
Alright. But you're saying like there's some sort of special thing that you did. Was there something special about going to see this particular movie, or are you saying that this being a special movie was the only reason that you went to see it? That's what I'm kind of trying to draw out here.
Not because it was like quote unquote special, but it is special. Well, it is special because it's Star Wars. That's like the main reason, because it is Star Wars.
Right. Okay. I mean, like,
and that's the reason.
When you say, have you heard about your experience watching the movie? I have not heard that experience yet. So I'm like, did something happen that was like out of the ordinary?
Yeah, that was the thing. I was gonna have the best time ever. I was gonna watch it, but I went with family, and two of the sisters had like no clue what Star Wars really is, and they were talking the whole time and making fun of it. So that ruined it for me somewhat. But I still loved it. That was my experience.
In my book, that's grounds for execution. So okay, in my family, there's like this tier of like people who watch movies,
Mm-hmm.
because it's me and I'm the one creating the tier, I tend to think like I'm at the top tier. I go for the artistry, I go for the acting, I go for if something is off during a movie, I not only spot it, but at some point, whether the movie is still playing or not, typically at the end of the film, because I try to be respectful of other people who may not have the same viewpoints as I do, I will point. I feel it is like incumbent upon me, a requirement to point out that something was off with that movie, right?
Oh yeah, I loved discussing stuff like on the ride in the car back.
Yeah.
But they were like sighing and like, this is stupid.
Okay.
Can I go to the movies with you next time, please?
Absolutely, I would love to go to the movies with you. That'd be fantastic. That just seems like it would be a fun time.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have this.
That was the experience.
Anyway, so it's like I view myself as the top tier. I go for good movies. My mother's like the next tier down. She likes a lot of the same movies that I do, but not like movies that she would go and seek out on her own. I go and I feel like, okay, well, what's weird, what's new, what's being talked about, what's got all the critics talking about, what was really good from like 50, 60, 70 years ago that still holds up to today. I want to see these movies. I want to see the great ones. I want to see the good ones. I want to see this whole wide myriad of great artistry just compressed down into like an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, not an hour and 20 minutes, but like an hour and 45, 2 hours. I want to see get a feel for the story, for the characters, for the acting, for the visuals, for the directing, for the cinematography, for the music, all this. I want to see this entire package come together and just be wowed by it. My mom can see a good movie and be like, oh, well, that was nice. And then like go on with her day. So there's a little bit of a disconnect between like top tier and then like a little farther down. She can appreciate.
Can I be?
Yes, sir.
Can I be tier like 2.5? I don't know if I'm quite on your tier, but I would say I'm a little bit better than tier 2.
I can elevate you to tier 3, or actually it's tier 4. And thank you, Nate, for hosting. Glad you're coming out here tonight. Appreciate you ever so much. Anyway, so we can elevate you. All you have to do is start watching Screen Junkies, and you'll get so full of yourself, you'll just be like, I can see everything.
Oh my gosh.
That's how it. Well, it's not entirely how it started, but it really helped. Watching Screen Junkies on YouTube kind of helped me get a better idea.
Do you watch older content?
Not all of it, but most of it. I watch. The big thing I'm into is movie fights. I mean, I came for honest trailers. I've stayed for movie fights.
Yeah, I only watch honest trailers, really.
Yeah, which are also good. But I mean, like, if you want to get like into the technicalities of movies and stuff, I highly recommend start watching movie fights. Just watch one episode or two. It will change how you see movies.
Well, I might do that. I might do it. Anyway,
so my mother can appreciate them, but she's never gonna be like one of these people who just like wants to break down why the camera was at this angle rather than this angle, or why they made this cut over that one, or why they paste it this way or put this dialogue in here or pronounce this line this way. She's never going to do that. But she can appreciate when it all comes together very well. She may not totally understand why it came together well. She may not be able to voice that and be able to explain it in detail, but she can at least appreciate it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
On the third tier is...
Wait, what's the best? Tier 1 is the best, right?
Well, I wasn't really numbering them, but I guess since we are now, I'd be tier 1, my mother's tier 2, my sister's tier 3. My sister, and my sister, here's the thing. Tier 3, I don't really think is like an accurate description because there's such a dramatic drop-off. Okay, you've heard of the movie Sharknado, right? Sharknado?
No.
Okay, well, it's this Sci-Fi Channel original movie.
Okay.
Very low budget, very bad acting.
I haven't seen it.
It's super, super, super. It's campy to the point where camp does not even begin to describe how campy it is. A man, partway through the movie, a woman is swallowed by a shark. At the end of the movie, a man is swallowed by a shark with a chainsaw in his hand. He cuts his way out of the inside of the shark, which had been flung through the air by a tornado, steps outside, reaches back in, and miracle of miracles, he was eaten by the same shark as the lady halfway through the movie, and she's still alive.
And how much time was between the two devourings of the shark eating people?
At least 45 minutes.
Huh. She survived quite well.
A complete miracle. Praise be to God. You know? So, this is all going... I mean, and my sister watches these kind of movies. Unironically. She does not watch them for, you know, the grand sophistry of it, or the complete absurdity. Because there are some people who can enjoy these for the absurdism. She watches them as though they are a legitimate, perfectly viable form of cinematic artistry. And I'm like, no. Okay, so like I said, myself, my mother can appreciate, my sister's like, and we won't talk about my father. Because as my sister comes down, he takes another like 2 or 3 steps below that. So,
Man.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Good times.
So I go in there, and because my mother can appreciate good film, I'm like, okay, let's take, and also because like it's kind of the thing we do. It's like the one thing that I really do is like it's me and my mom. It's what we do, right? So I take her to see Star Wars, and she enjoyed it, and she goes, "Oh, isn't that such a great movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but," and she goes, "Stop talking."
He knows you do well.
Well, see, here's the thing. I love movies, but more than I love movies, I love Star Wars. I mean, within arm's reach of me, right here, like that way. Well, for you it'd be that way, but for me it's that way, because everything's flip-flopped and back around. But literally, I can reach over here, and here, let me do it. I'm gonna reach over here, and you know what I'm gonna pull out? You know what I'm gonna pull out here?
A lightsaber? I hope.
I'm gonna pull out one of my Star Wars books. There are, I mean, and I have like 3 or 4 drawers just full of Star Wars books because I am that big of a gigantic super nerd Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I've always loved Star Wars. I have like, again, within arm's reach. Yeah, it's a Death Star jelly bean dispenser. There are no jelly beans in here. I am just holding on to a Star Wars jelly bean dispenser. You know what I got for Christmas? I got a Star Wars tea kettle. I drink tea out of a tea kettle like twice a year. But it is Star Wars. It is a Death Star. I'm an Imperial, in case you couldn't tell by the whole red vibe going on. Here tonight. And so, like, the Empire, the Sith, I love it. It's great. And I personally have much more agreement with their philosophy than some other people and some other sides in Star Wars. So, yeah, I'm just really big into Star Wars. I also do have a lightsaber. I was going to bring it on stream tonight, but decided against that for safety reasons.
Oh, boy.
And tragedy, Nate didn't realize. Sorry for Frank. He's making you lose. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm a huge big Star Wars fan. Yeah. Blame Frank. I should change that to Frank has been from Frank has been blamed to I have been blamed 136 times or whatever number it is at that point, because he's telling us himself.
Maybe he's just that weird.
He could be just constantly referring to himself in the third person.
Or not.
Anyway, so I get in there and I feel like she says, "Isn't this a great movie?" And I'm like, "Yes, but." And now here's here's the but.
Tell us about the but.
Yeah, I know. It is a great movie, and it is enjoyable, and I do love it. And there are parts in it which are just like, yes, Star Wars. And then there's some things which are just like, within the already established universe of Star Wars, what you're doing on screen in this movie does not make sense.
Example, please.
Number 1, hyperspace. Remember the first movie? like A New Hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're going from Tatooine to Alderaan.
Indeed.
Not a very not a super long trip. I mean, it's a long trip because Outer Rim. It's sort of
I haven't studied maps, but I'll take your word for it.
Alderaan is kind of like an Inner Rim world. It's not
Okay.
like it's not like next to Coruscant or anything like that. But I mean, it's like midway through. So it's a bit of a hike.
Okay.
It has enough time in hyperspace between Tatooine and Alderaan for them to like half train Luke for what he's going to be doing on the Death Star and everything else like that. Like to have these wonderful character building conversations, for Alderaan to be destroyed, and in hyperspace Obi-Wan Kenobi go, I suddenly felt a great disturbance in the forest, as though millions of people cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I mean, there's all this character arc that's built in the journey through hyperspace.
Yep.
In The Last Jedi, it's like, okay, well, we're going to go into hyperspace, and 15 minutes, we're there, folks. And we kind of got a feel of this in The Last Jedi, or not in The Last Jedi, but in The Force Awakens. Right at the end of the movie, where they're going to find Luke, and like they lift off and they jump, and then like they're there. It's like, okay, well, maybe they just cut that for time.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's like, no, they didn't cut that for time, because they give us a time frame as to like how long this all is, and they're telling us that in 18 hours, Poe and Rose have enough time to sneak off the ship, fly to some distant planet, do all their stuff, get captured, break back out, steal a ship, kill all this stuff, fly back to the ship and get back on board in less than 18 hours, and still have like 6 hours left for all this stuff to happen. I'm like, wait. Your ship is too fast. Because that's not how hyperspace works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's a little bit immersion breaking, because like, okay, I understand this. I've put in the thought, I've put in the effort, I've read the books, right? Also, and I'm an internet potato. Thank you for the follow. Mr. Potato, you are welcome here to the stream. We appreciate you.
Greetings.
Anyway, so like it kind of breaks the immersion for me, because I do know I'm not a super fan, but I'm like a tier below, maybe a half a tier below, where it's like I know all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you're breaking the immersion for me, because you're saying that like, okay, well, everything that we've told you up to this point is just like, well, we're kind of tossing that out the window, because it fits our story, not really the narrative story, but like it fits our story. So the quickness of hyperspace kind of throws me off.
Well, let's just go with they have faster hyperspace now.
Which I mean would be a reasonable assumption, and it's one that I can get behind it, because there's
It's
supposed
been
to
a
be
while.
Yeah, it's like 30, 40 years, whatever it is, from A New Hope until this movie takes place. So I can kind of understand that. I can kind of get behind it.
But yeah, it's going way too fast.
Yeah, it's going way too fast.
I never actually even thought of that before.
You're welcome.
I just thought of the magic of hyperspace.
Here we go, folks. Gavi ruins movies for everybody. Take 2. Also, here's the thing. The next thing.
All right.
Also about hyperspace.
All right.
Hyperspace works in that you have generally 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're really lucky, or I mean, if you're going to have some sort of like grand anomaly, which I know you probably aren't aware of it like I am, but in Star Wars Episode 4, Han Solo says he's comparing the Millennium Falcon. He's like, it's so fast like this. It's like not one of those, not your local boat cruiser. I mean, one of the big Corellian vessels. Well,
okay.
Corellia is where Han Solo is from. And it is a system of planets, and like around one sun. There's a single sun, and there are 5 planets in this system.
Okay.
And so, Corellia would be like one of these grand anomalies where there are multiple different points where you can enter and leave the system through hyperspace because of how hyperspace works. Hyperspace is governed by gravity. And the more bodies you have in a system creating a gravity well, that is like how many points in the system you can go in and out of the system. But within the system, you can also move from point to point through hyperspace. It's just kind of like a micro jump. And this is something that's well established in Legends. And also in some other I think they did it a couple times in like Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I think they did it one time there. I haven't seen all of Rebels yet because my TV situation is not so great at the moment, but I will see it all. And then
Sooner or later.
yeah, and I think that a similar type of this could be seen in actually The Force Awakens when they jump through the shield harmonics onto Starkiller Base. So
Yeah.
the existence of a micro jump is in canon, but it's explained better in Legends. And so there's a single point where you can jump into a system, or sometimes multiple. If you have like multiple different bodies, you can produce a gravity field. But within that system itself, you can also do these little micro jumps to go to different places. Now, knowing as you do how that story plays out, there is the Rebel fleet, and there's the Imperial fleet. And the Rebel fleet is flying along, and they're doing it at impulse or just off thrusters, and they're doing it just a little bit faster than the First Order, because the First Order ships are bigger or bulkier. And also, just going to point this out, what does size really have to do with anything in the vacuum of space?
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It was kind of stupid.
And I'm like, wait a second. First of all, you're by very definition, the fact that they have more size and have bigger engines and can move more mass and will gain more momentum that way, there's no running from that big gigantic ship. It has more momentum than you do. It is faster than you. You're not going to be able to get away.
And even like there's no way that that's their whole entire fleet. And even if it is, they could send a couple smaller cruisers ahead of them to cut them off if they literally couldn't catch up to them. Like there's no I found that kind of stupid as well. Like just send a couple ships ahead. Mm-hmm. That's all you have to do.
Well, precisely. This is also part of my issue here with micro jumps. Leave the big cruiser behind, chase them down with all the fear and terror. But they had like 30 or 40 regular Imperial Class 2 Star Destroyers there that they could have just like jumped ahead and been like, oh, well, now we're in front of you and behind you. Where are you going to run now? Oh, well, we can't do that because then the story's over.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm so glad the First Order decided to cooperate with your screenwriter. I mean...
that was one of the glaring things I noticed.
I mean, it's supposed to create tension, but when you understand like how this works, it's like, but why aren't they just jumping in front of them? It doesn't make any sense. Again, another point where I was like really upset by something. And there are good points to this. I'm just going to get through all the bad stuff first.
Continue.
Okay. Second thing, the dogfights. I mentioned this in the spoiler-free portion. There's like one good dogfight in this entire movie.
And what is in your opinion? What is that one?
That would be where Poe kind of does his little like shoot up all the guns on the ship thing.
And he does where he like drifts and turns around and shoots the guys that are coming at him.
Yeah, which I don't really agree with the physics behind that.
No,
but I can.
But it was thinking cool.
It is cool, and then my brain caught up. I'm like, wait a second, he can't actually do that. And then they started like bringing in all the bombers and stuff, and I'm like, well, okay. This just kind of slowed down the pacing of the movie for me a little bit. However, on the flip side, Kylo Ren, his fighter run, that's beautiful. I mean, that was gorgeous. I'm in love with that scene. Like him flying with his little TIE fighter and going around, and like also Adam Driver in that moment just acting like he can sense that Princess Leia's on the bridge, and he's like, I'm about to kill my mother. I already killed my father. Am I going to kill my mother right now? I could kill my mother, but like, and just like you could see this conflict in his face. It's just like, yes, and then like the other ones shoot, and you can see this like instant regret and remorse. Like, oh no, they're going to kill my mother. It's like, I can't. And then you see him fight back, like, no, I can't be affected by this. Can't be affected by this. And he pulls off, and it's like, that is such a great scene. I love that, how it plays out, and just how well it's acted, because he doesn't say anything through that. And from our minds, like, okay, he should be on the comm like Poe Dameron, he's just taunting the rebels. Mom, I'm gonna kill you. I got all my blasters, my rockets, my relation. No, he's just like, am I really doing this?
Yep. I'm
I'm doing this. Am I really doing this? And it's so well done.
I honestly liked how when it was the trailer, they were kind of teasing that like he's gonna kill her, and then when it's the actual movie, you're watching it like, oh, he didn't do it, and then the two ties go in front of him, and you're like, oh crap, this is it's all screwed up now. Like you have like a relief for a second, and then it's just all blown up.
Yeah,
I like that.
Which is good cinema. I like that. I'm gonna offend a lot of people, and I know it's gonna sound contradictory with something I said earlier, but I think they should have let Princess Leia die when they did that. I understand that she had a part to play in the rest of the movie, but I think it would have been a lot more impactful a film had they had to fight through the entire thing without her actually being there. I mean, I know that she was only kind of there because she was in the sickbay for the whole time, but I mean, that would have been a much more impactful story if it had been like, are we getting revenge? What are we doing? Because they just killed our princess. And I mean,
yeah, I agree with you on that.
And it's like, it was a heavily stylized, pseudo cool moment, which I think kind of damaged the film. They did it all for that moment of having Princess Leia come flying through space using the Force, and we're all like, oh, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, I kind of think this would have been better if she'd have just not been here anymore, because at the same time you're also getting kind of like those emotions mixed up with like actually having Carrie Fisher dead, and you're actually like, well,
yeah.
I mean, she is dead, and she's not going to be in the next movie. And if she is going to be in the next movie, I kind of don't want her to be like a big part of it, because then they're going to do all this kind of weird CG and stuff like that. So this seems like it would be a really good and impactful way for her to go out. And then she's like, "Oh no, I'm just going to fly through space using the Force." And we're like, "Oh, okay." I don't know how to react to this anymore. I guess we're just going to have to, try again. Because realistically, there's no way that she's going to be... She may have some sort of appearance in the next movie.
Yeah, but
it's going to
quite
be very,
literally
very... It's going to be limited,
possible.
and it's going to be like... It's basically going to be there just so they can show us how she dies.
Yeah.
And that's depressing. It might be better if they just like, okay, well, in the course of these events, she died.
Yeah,
tell us that.
More impactful. I get that.
Yeah. So, it's just kind of like a sad moment. But it's like, okay, I see what they did there, and I know why they did it, but I think they could have done better had they done something else. Also, in that scene with like the bombing run going on, Rose's sister, the bomber pilot.
Yep.
Didn't care.
No, she was a gunner.
Gunner, whatever it is. Did not care. That scene, I knew that woman was going to die, but it felt like there was no stake. It felt like there was no stakes to that whatsoever. I mean, they showed the little kissing the little necklace. I'm like, okay, that's going to be important later on. Gotcha. She's going to blow up the dreadnought. I mean, it's just going to happen. Okay, great. I feel like we should not be watching her. I feel like we should just be like watching this like in pan back, just watching the whole battle, and then like thinking that one's gonna blow up and then drop it. I think that would have been a better way of shooting that scene, and then tell us like, okay, there's someone who was kind of important on that ship. Because I did not care about her at all. I did not feel any tension. I was just like, okay, she's gonna drop the bombs. They're gonna land on the dreadnought. The dreadnought's gonna blow up. It's all gonna be over. Why are we still here? And I mean, they dragged that scene on and on and on and on. I'm like, oh, move, please. Just go back to Poe shooting stuff. Come on.
It honestly felt weird because I feel like they were going for a World War II-esque bombing run, because that's what I was getting from that. But
entirely.
It's space. It's too slow for space.
Well,
I get that. Continue.
No, let's say no. You go ahead. I'll add on to this later on.
But like, I get that the bombs, they were pushed down so they had the momentum to get to the ship. I get that, but it's just like there should probably be something faster. If in space you have all the tracking and stuff, you're obviously gonna get killed. It's just like a suicide ship. It doesn't even feel right. For me at least.
I totally agree. When I saw like bombers, I'm like, okay, B-wings, because B-wings are bombers, and you saw those briefly in episode 6. They're like the tall, skinny ones with the wings that open up to the side, and they look like I don't know why they're called B-wings when they're T's, but you know, it is what it is. Actually, because there are actually T-wing fighters, which are totally different. But those are bombers, and they have line of sight missiles.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot more sense. If you want to, I mean, I understand you probably don't want to have Y-wings anymore, which were the big, slow yellow ones from A New Hope, and
yep.
I mean, which are really cool in their own right. But even those have like a propellant to the bombs they fire. They're not gravity driven. I didn't get that either. I understand like the visual that they were trying to present. I also did not understand why they chose to do that rather than anything else, especially in a galaxy called like Star Wars, where they have so many other options which could have been so much more visually pleasing to see. Aside from the fact that they were trying to push forward the narrative of this girl and her sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Star Wars. Why you do this to us?
Which brings me to my next big gripe with the film.
All right.
Rose did nothing. Name one thing she did the entire movie.
Yeah. Shocked Finn.
Okay.
And dragged him off.
Anybody else could have done that. BB-8 could have done that.
Yep.
BB-8 probably could have done that better and would have been funnier.
Yep.
The only thing that it can be said that Rose did, there are two things. I thought about this very carefully. Number one, she had to be there to provide the fancy necklace so that Benicio del Toro's character could make the little connection, because it's a superconductor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is not really she needed to be there. They could have thrown in literally any other kind of MacGuffin to make that work, and the same thing would have happened. They would have opened the door, and General Hux would have been there, and he'd have captured them all. Okay, great. Same thing happens. She doesn't need to be there. Second thing she does is she saves Finn from dying heroically in front of like the miniature Death Star cannon.
Oh, I hated that.
And I'm like, no, because
let him die.
Well, I'm seeing this come up. I'm like, this movie now has stakes, and I'm thinking like Independence Day with Dennis Quaid flying up into the ship, going, "Hello, boys, I'm back!" And then Finn just like riding that thing in there. I'm gonna stop this, and going in and blows up. I'm like, yes! And then she like crashes him out of the way. I'm like, no. We almost had a noble sacrifice. We almost. I mean, can you imagine? Just in terms of like inner universe propaganda. Okay, so within the Star Wars universe, they're talking about, okay, well, we sent out all this cry for help, and nobody's come to our rescue. What we need a rallying cry. We need something to gather around. Not Poe. Finn,
yeah,
a stormtrooper, stolen from his parents at a young age, raised and tortured and beaten and molded into the perfect killing machine. Also made to scrub lavatories, but we won't talk about that. And just like completely just disregarded and beaten up and used as cannon fodder, breaks free of the mind control, comes over to the good side, and dies heroically in a gigantic ball of flaming fury, trying to protect what he believed in. Are you ready to make a sacrifice for what you believe in? And people go, yes, let's go. We're gonna be like Finn. FN 187. We're gonna jump up here, and we're gonna take down General Hux, and we're gonna take down. Well, I guess they can't take down Captain Phasma again because completely wasted. Completely wasted. And
I think they were going for a Boba Fett, but she wasn't even cool.
Well, she didn't do anything. Again, another character who didn't really. I mean, they had the little fight, and it's like, okay, cool, but then they straight up killed her, and I'm like, oh well. I guess she's not coming. I mean, in the theater, and we were talking earlier about how I don't like to make comments in the theater, but in the theater, I could not restrain myself from saying, well, I guess we won't see her in Star Wars 9. I'm like, and half of the marketing campaign for toys was around Captain Phasma because it's this great, cool set of armor. It's a female stormtrooper and all this kind of cool stuff. And it's like, oh, we killed her.
Yep.
What now?
I feel like they were going for like what they did with Boba Fett, but that can't be repeated.
No, it can be, but you have to do something with the character to make them cool. And in the first movie, they set her up to be cool, and then they like, okay, well, let's put her in the garbage chute. Okay, haha, nod to the first movie, funny moment, funny. Okay, but where's the villain in this? Where is the person who makes me quaver in my boots? Where is the awesome music that starts playing just because they stepped on screen? We don't get that with Phasma. And so, now she's dead, we don't care.
Yep.
I mean, like, oh, well, why did I ever care at all? I don't know. It's just frustrating.
By the way, back to the part where Finn was about to sacrifice himself. I get what you're saying. I actually quite agree with that. But the reason that I hated it was because it just made it, like, fake, because movies that are coming out now, they're becoming more realistic, they're becoming more gritty, they're becoming more dirty, and more like it's a real life situation.
Right.
You're seeing people die in Rogue One. Everyone died, like at the end. It's just like, okay, bye, every complete person's dead. You're getting the reality of the war, and then it just goes back to, oh, you're invincible, you're a main character, no dying.
Yeah. And I mean,
that's stupid.
What more perfect time could you have had to kill a main character that would have major impact on the story than right there? I mean, it's such a futile gesture, because eventually the First Order could have broken in there. But I mean, and then to like completely waste it. And then also, they brought more guns than the big one. Why didn't all the other big guns out there on the walkers go, hey, there's still life signs in that crashed couple of speeders, vaporize them, and then proceed to do that immediately? But no, they're like, oh, okay, well, they're just gonna run back to the little hole there. Ha 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 ha, let them go, we'll get them later.
Yep. Also, the kiss was really uncalled for and stupid. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that type of stuff. But that was just so stupid.
Well, this is also...
like, I groaned.
This is kind of the thing also with Finn. They have set him up to be like the playboy of the galaxy now, because now he's kissed Rose, and he's hugging on Rey, and the entire movie's talking about Rey, and I gotta get Rey back, and Rey... I'm like, okay, well, pick one, dude! Pick one! I don't care! Pick one! Just say... I don't even have one, you have two, pick one! You pick Rose, in fact, you know, she's... I'll take Daisy... No. I put this on family friendly, didn't I?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Nate. So anyway. So also a major problem that I have with this, because I mean, like, they set him up to be this, like, this... Your friend just walked out the door. That's what I'm here for, offending people. Yes. Oh man,
I can't take it.
I'm sorry, Nate. Tell her I won't make that joke again tonight.
Is it the person that I know, Nate?
Or at least not for the next 7 minutes. There we go. Okay.
Oh, listen, I don't know.
Anyway. So this goes on, and you know,
it was corny.
It was corny. It was not necessary. It would have been impossible if they'd have just killed him like they should have.
Yeah.
So
I would have felt like the quote unquote heartstrings being pulled if he died.
Yeah. I mean, because again, I was drawn into that moment. He was dying. He had it made up in his mind, and all props to what's his name? John Boyega, because I bought into him in that moment. Whereas like the entire rest of the movie, it's kind of like, okay, well, he isn't. He's not sure what he's doing. He's still trying to find his place in the galaxy. All this kind of stuff. And in that moment, I'm like, I have bought into the fact that this man is ready to fight the Empire, or not fight the Empire, but fights the First Order to the bitter end, and he has decided that right now is the end. I have bought into him, I'm invested with him, I'm on board with him, I'm flying that ship with him. Let's go, let's take down this thing, let's protect the rebels. It's like, oh, wait, Now,
Also, how did Rose get in front of him?
I don't know. I have no idea. Because everybody else turns
she
around.
Was going on a right angle from him.
To say nothing of the fact that first thing she did was turn around and go backwards. Because Poe's like, everyone, let's get out of here. Like, okay, I can understand that develops Poe's character. He's going to be not just a hotshot flyboy anymore. Good. He's developing leadership skills. Good. Knows that he can't win this fight. Understand. Everybody else turns around, and Finn's like, "No, I'm doing this. Let's go." Which was great because I mean it was like really the first time that he committed to something since he came on. He kind of half committed to Poe in the first one. He kind of comes along like, okay, we're going to break out of here. We're going to get away. But he still wasn't really sure what he was doing. He wasn't sure about anything. The entire first movie, he's just completely caught up in questions and mysteries. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this. Rey, I'm going to follow Rey. Whatever she does, I'm going to do. And like, okay, we got that. And then this time it's like, no, I'm not going to follow some other person. I have decided this is a cause I'm going to fight for. This is important to me. This is something that I can get behind, and this is something I can take pride in. And as a independent person capable of making my own decisions, I'm going to take this moment and I'm going to plant my flag here, and I'm going to stop these people from hurting those who I've decided to care about. And as he's going in, they just take the moment away from him, and it just killed the scene. I'm like,
it doesn't even make any sense now that I think about it.
No.
Like, there's no possible. She turned around. She was going back. Unless he's an idiot, he's probably going close to full speed.
Yeah.
Maybe there's differences because those are old, battered up, whatever, speeders.
Yeah.
But there's no way that hers has, like, boost soup on it or something.
Yeah. Or that she has boosters on hers that he hasn't already used on his to try and get just a little bit farther, a little bit closer to this thing to try and stop it from blowing up his friends.
Yep. Do we should write into Screen Junkies and tell them about this when they do their thing on this movie? Okay. Add it in.
They did it months ago.
Oh crap!
Well, not actually. They didn't do it months ago. But I mean, I don't actually know if they've done a movie fights on this, but I'm quite sure they have. I'm really behind on all my YouTube subscriptions, like really far behind. So, yeah.
Tisk.
But I mean, I would someday I want to be on movie fights, and I'm gonna lose terribly. I'm gonna have a great time doing it. I tell you what. If for no other reason than because I can talk a little bit faster than probably about two out of three people on that show. Yeah, it's a problem. Anyway.
So is that all the things that you hated about it?
No.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
What are those the main things that you hated about it?
There's one other thing I found really distasteful.
Okay, one other thing. Go.
I did not like how they killed Snoke. And I don't like how they just completely dismissed him from the story.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Because when The Force Awakens ended, everybody had two questions on their mind. Question number one, where did Rey come from? Question number two, who is Snoke?
Who is Snoke?
And now we don't know. We never will. Doesn't matter. He's dead. Who cares? We're moving on. Which again, is the whole point of the movie, that they're trying to do away with all this stuff which has been done before. We're trying to get rid of the Jedi. We're trying to get rid of the Sith. They're trying to do all this stuff. We're trying to do something completely new and totally different. But wait a second. There's something you've established which has merit and worth and needs to be held on at least long enough so that I know what it was. And I know I don't. And I never will. Because why would they revisit that? And how would they revisit it without slogging down another movie?
Yeah. There was a thing that I watched. It was a video. It was basically, and I think this is actually what happened. I subscribed to this. It was talking about the fact how he was so easily killed, and like how did he not realize? But what the person is saying is that he did realize. He did know. He wanted to die because he's obviously a very, very powerful Sith. He was playing with Rey basically like a doll, flinging her around. He wanted to die because he's uncomfortable in his life. Like, look at him. He's a shriveled up grape, or what's the
prune?
What's the prune? Yeah, sure, shriveled up prune. And if you go to the video that I watched, he talked about how in the, I forget what book it was, but some sort of book that was like talking about the costuming stuff. It said that he had to wear cushioned slippers because it hurt him so much. So I think he wanted to die. He didn't care. He has bigger plans in the afterlife of Sith or whatever. So that's what I'm thinking. And maybe he was thinking that that would push Kylo even farther into the dark side because he has truly given into his hate of his master. He has truly done it now, and there's no going back for him. That's my thought on it. Although I did really hate it because I kind of liked him because he was really cool.
He's played by Andy Serkis. He's great. Also, hey Pai Lang, and yes, this is called a mask, and this is called a pseudo or a very cheap attempt at a green screen.
Is it a black screen?
No, it's green.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Well, it's not even really a screen. I played a superhero a couple years ago as part of like my church's Sunday school program, and this is my green cape from back then. So,
amazing.
We improvise. And yes, this is a green mask to preserve my identity, at least until 1,000 viewers. Although nobody would know me anyway.
Wait, 1,000 viewers.
1,000 follows, 1,000 follows, 1,000 follows.
No. We okay, you have VODs on. Yes, okay. You said 1,000 views. You have 6,000 views.
No, I said viewers. Viewers. Hey, if we're going to do that until I have 1,000 concurrent viewers, I'm not showing nothing. Turning this off right now.
Gosh dang it. Oh, man.
All right. Anyway, I get what you're saying, but I kind of fundamentally disagree.
All right.
Because when you think about the mythos of Snoke, or at least the little tiny bit that we have,
yes,
he is someone who reached out for Kylo Ren and drew him to the dark side, and told him the steps that he would have to take to become a fully fledged dark side individual, and filled him up with dreams and hopes of being as powerful someday as Darth Vader.
Yep.
Which means that, well, to put it in terms of like Heath Ledger, he was a schemer. And so he had all these schemes and all these plans and all these aspirations and these goals, and then he's just going to let them fall away? And not just like fall away, but he's going to allow himself to be killed by his, at that point, still unproven Padawan? For what? What would his purpose possibly be?
Yeah.
Hey, Rusty Bell, I'm just here for the Dr. Sax Love too. Also, I love Star Wars, and I'm going to talk about it a lot, so you may not hear very much Dr. Sax Love over my ranting and raving and screaming. Yes, that is the thing.
I do agree with that. He did have a lot to go with. He was still had a lot of things that he wanted to do, but I think there's something bigger that we don't know, because literally he's extremely intelligent. We've seen that just from that one scene. Right. He is not to be messed with. He knew what was going on. He knew he was about to be betrayed. He knew he was about to be killed. Unless they're just going to change the character, I'm going to be really mad at them, because that's just stupid. But there has to be a way, or there has to be some sort of plan. It has to be planned, because there's no way that was just, oh, he died. He had to know about it, because otherwise that just ruins his whole character, and I don't think they would do that. I think he had a bigger plan for that or something. I don't know. Well,
this is kind of my exact contention. I think that that Rian Johnson was so intent on just kind of overriding everything, because I mean that really did become, and I mean they almost said exactly that in the movie itself. He became so intent on just overriding everything that he's like, okay, we're done with Snoke, we're done with Rey's parents, we're done with this, we're done with the Force, we're done with Luke, we're done with all this, we're just gonna get rid of everything and start over fresh. And it's like, okay, I get that, I understand what you're saying, but again, there's still some value here. There's still, Snoke is a good character. He's not a good guy, he's not a hero, but he's a good character. He's someone that you can kind of search out for. Because also, Kylo Ren, on his own, kind of like Darth Vader. Darth Vader, you came in and you thought he was the big bad. And you're like, whoa. I mean, think about it. Think of
And
this.
then he bends the knee
Well,
to higher power.
Precisely. Darth Vader was on screen less than 12 minutes in the original Star Wars. And he forever from those 12 minutes redefined what it meant to be a villain. Because he killed one person in that entire movie. Well, okay, I guess he killed two. You see him personally kill two people, which would be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you saw him kill Biggs Darklighter in the trench run with his TIE fighter. But you don't see him kill... I mean,
he also killed the person on the ship in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, okay. 3. So he kills 3 people. Never draws his lightsaber until he fights Obi-Wan Kenobi. Probably the most lethargic lightsaber fight of all time. But you still can go back and watch that movie for the first time. People still go back and watch the movie for the first time and go, Darth Vader is scary. He's frightening. He's intimidating. He dominates the screen. Whatever he is, he owns whatever he's in. And he, like I said, in 12 minutes, he completely redefined what it meant to be a villain. And from that, he goes on and he bends the knee to someone greater, someone more powerful, or at least someone prospectively more powerful, as far as we understand. Kylo Ren is shown as being incomplete from the very beginning. The first time you see Kylo Ren, he stops a bolt and you go, whoa, that's cool. I've never seen anyone do that in Star Wars before. And then immediately you see him in a weakened state.
Yeah.
Immediately after that, he's subservient to Snoke. He's unbalanced. He's unstable. He's cutting stuff up. There's completely emotionally
basically
imbalanced.
A little child.
Exactly. And it's like, you are never going to feel for him the same fear as you did with Darth Vader. And you understand that immediately, which makes his envy for Darth Vader that much more powerful as a character aspect, which I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't build more upon that. I'm disappointed that they didn't build more upon that in this one, because again, they had something good there. And then they say, okay, well, here finally is the big bad, Snoke, and he goes out like a punk. I mean, he's just like, okay, well, and I mean, you can see, like, I think at least in Rian Johnson's mind, the guy who wrote the writer, the director, I think in his mind, exactly how we saw it is exactly how it went down. Snoke thought Kylo Ren was going to kill Rey because he has his lightsaber out there and he's about to put the hole in her head, and then he turns and kind of a cheesy way to manipulate the lightsaber too. I wasn't really thrilled with that, how they filmed that. Because it floats up and then it turns slowly and then it turns on. It's like, okay, as soon as it starts moving, you see it coming. I think it would have been better if they had focused in entirely on Kylo and Rey, and you're like, he's about to do it, he's about to do it, he's about to do it, and then you hear the lightsaber come on, you're like, oh crap, because you audibly hear it. Or even go from Rey's perspective, where the lightsaber is pointed in her face, and then she closes her eyes, it goes dark, and you hear the lightsaber come on, and you keep hearing it, and then she opens her eyes and she sees that the lightsaber's not on, and she turns around and she sees the lightsaber's then passing through Snoke's body and him crumpling to the floor, and then you're like, oh wow, he just betrayed us. I mean, because if you're gonna kill someone like that, do it in a surprising way. Don't show us the surprise. Let us be shocked by it. Let's be taken back by it. Oh wow, he's just made this grand change of character from being this subservient little boy to being a slightly more unstable little boy. But I mean, they lost some cinematic brilliance there, I think, by showing the lightsaber move, by kind of how they led up to it, because it seemed like Snoke was in control. And then you can kind of see that doubt in his face, which again, Adam Driver did a fantastic job for portraying that. And so it was kind of disappointing. It was kind of disappointing to me because I think they could have done better. I really do.
Yeah.
Especially because I want to know what happened. Where did it come from? Who is he? Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
And I say those are all the major gripes I had with the film. Everything else that I had problems with I've gotten explanations to in the subsequent days. It's like, okay, I don't have as much a problem with that anymore, except for one thing, and this is just real short.
Or wait, can I butt in real quick?
Go ahead.
This might not be even true, but I also saw something where When he's talking, he's saying you turn the lightsaber to strike down your true enemy. Those are very interesting words, especially since now I don't remember this 100%, but it doesn't seem like he's turning the lightsaber in his hand. He's turning the one next to Snoke. Now, maybe he was turning the one in his hand and the one on the by Snoke, but if he wasn't, let's just say that he was only turning the one by Snoke, then Snoke is predicting his death. He's like, okay, yeah, you're about to kill me. Have fun with that.
Well, I think that was more a sense of cinematic irony. I don't think that they were intentionally...
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I understand, and we won't know until the next movie or what is made of the next movie, because the next movie... what's his name? What's his name?
Finn...
No, the director. Ryan,
no idea.
Ryan Johnson's out, and the guy who did The Force Awakens is back in. I can't remember his name. Which is
J.J. Abrams?
J.J. Abrams is coming back to direct Star Wars Episode 9.
Oh, nice.
And so, I don't know if he's going to kind of like try and backpedal on some of the stuff that they did, because or explain it better, or give... Ryan Johnson has left him in a very difficult place. Very difficult place. Because where really do you go from here? You have, I mean, at least in the original trilogy, when they said, we have a rebellion, they actually had, a fleet of ships.
Yep.
They have a couple, they have one single transport vessel with no weapons. And actually, no, they don't even have that anymore. They just have the Millennium Falcon. That's all they have. And it's like, I'm sorry, you have now gone into the realm of the truly unbelievable. I don't believe that group of people, no matter how powerful the Force Ray is, no matter how great a pilot Poe Dameron is, no matter how strong the convictions of Finn are, I don't believe that those people can defeat the First Order.
Yeah.
And so I hear there's going to be some sort of a time jump between Episode 8 and Episode 9. That's like several years, which they're going to need in order to make that believable again. But as things stand right now, I don't see that as a viable story to be able to say that, well, this single small light freighter full of people is going to be able to take on the entirety of the Imperial forces. It is still a universe bound by rules, and I don't see that. I think this movie would have been, as great as some of the stuff is, and again, we're about to get into the good things, the things that I really liked. As great as some of the stuff is that happens on the planet for the movie, for the story, I think The Last Jedi would have been much better had it ended in the throne room at the question. Ben, will you come with me? I think that would have been a much better place to end it, because at that point, there's still question. There's still doubt.
I was squeamish.
I'm seeing that, and I'm like, he could go with her. All could be forgiven. The goodness inside of him could win. And I'm like, at this point, there is indecision, and there is heart, again, I really like Adam Driver's performance. That was like the highlight of the film. Okay, maybe the second highlight of the film, but he's such a great performance there, and I'm watching, and I'm like, oh yes, there's so much good happening here, and then he does well, no, if you come with me, we can rule the galaxy, which I get it, and I find it funny how they say that, to a large extent, they're very right. The Force Awakens is a retread of A New Hope. It's almost, it's kind of like line by line. We're gonna change the thing here, change the name there, but it's basically the same movie over again.
Yep.
But when you look at how it plays out, and even down to the very same lines that are used, the exact same words. Not like, okay, well, we have a similarly shot scene, not anything like that. We have the exact same words being said by different characters, and you're going to tell me that The Last Jedi is not a retread to some extent of The Return of the Jedi? Because, it's too late for me now. Well, that's exactly what Vader said on the lift as they're going up to see the Empire, going up to see the Emperor. Join me and we can rule the galaxy. Well, that's exactly what was said at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. it's almost a direct retread of all of that arc from Cloud City to the end of Empire, except for basically to the end of the Empire, because they killed the Emperor and then they blow up his fancy ship. Well, I mean, it basically is just a retread of that. And like, okay, well, I'm still looking for that originality, and I don't see it, and it's disappointing to me because again, I want good Star Wars. And again,
Yeah.
I think this is a good movie. I really do. I just don't think it's a good Star Wars movie because it doesn't really do anything to move the story forward. If anything, it ended.
It put it in chaos.
It put it in chaos. It ended a lot of stories that were interesting, that were engrossing, that had not just fan enthusiasm, but I mean, like, had character enthusiasm. Like, okay, Rey, I need to find out who my parents are. Kylo Ren, I need to find out who I am. Am I following Snoke? Am I going to turn back? Well, now Snoke's dead, and he still doesn't really know because he's still totally conflicted. And it seemed as though he was making some sort of advance in his like dark side, the path of the dark side. But when he attacks Luke Luke's figment on the planet,
Yeah.
but even to that extent, it's not really meaningful because Luke told him exactly what was going to happen to begin with. And it was kind of almost anticlimactic when he attacks him because anyone who is observant knew that wasn't actually Luke.
I wasn't observant enough. I thought it was him.
As soon as he shows up, I'm like, okay, well, how did Luke get here? And then I noticed one key detail, and I'm like, that's not Luke. Or it is Luke, but Luke is not actually present. And I'm like, this is bullcrap. But cool bullcrap, but still bullcrap.
What was was it the footstep, I'm assuming?
Nope.
What was it then for you?
Okay. Before it actually shows his feet walking or anything else like that, in this scene, this scene right here, in the throne room scene, where Snoke is and everybody else, and Snoke dies, and they fight all the guardsmen. It's a great lightsaber battle, all kind of cool stuff.
Probably my favorite scene, actually.
How does it end after they make their mutual offers for the other to join them? How does this scene end?
I actually forget.
Rey has her hand out. Kylo Ren has his hand out. They're both pulling on Luke's lightsaber, which splits in half. And what lightsaber did Luke have on his belt when he shows up? And I'm like, that's not his green lightsaber. That lightsaber is in two pieces, and there is no way that Luke is actually on this planet right now.
Question: how in the stinking world did he touch Leia? Like, give her a hug or whatever he did?
The Force.
I know, but he's a ghost.
But he wasn't a ghost. He was still alive at that point. And so, like,
I know, but
that would be getting into a little bit of expanded universe, like a lot bigger than the expanded universe. There's a trilogy of books called I think it's called the Killing Trilogy or whatever else like that. It's the Unseen Queen, or no, the Joiner King, the Unseen Queen, and then the Swarm War. Really, really just weird stuff. It was like Star Wars' attempt at the Borg. Really, really, really weird, but good, but weird. And there's a point in there where also, hi Spiral, didn't mean to be ignoring you. I am, but I didn't mean to be. Anyway, so
hi Spiral, sorry.
It's a little engrossing in here. There's this point where Luke, as the Grand Jedi, the Jedi Grand Master, he is trying to escape from this like whole fleet of ships. In one ship, and he has I think his wife is there, and I think Leia might be there. I forget who all is in the ship at this time. And he uses the Force to create not just a separate ship, like a mirage, or trick the mind and say, okay, well, there's the visual of the ship, but he creates a sensor, like reading from the ship with the Force, so they track it with their ships to go chase that ship, and they get away. And while all at the same time completely masking their ship and its sensor profile, so that they can like escape from them. And apparently, like, it does this dramatic drain on his body, and like he comes up and like his skin is like sagging halfway down to his chin, and his eyes are all gaunt and hollow, and I mean he's like turning yellow. It's weird. It like severely depletes his body, but he does it because it's this huge stretch. And the thing is, with that knowledge, it makes a lot of sense. It makes some sense, at least, that Luke would be able to do that sort of projection to the planet that they were on, to like face Kylo Ren, and then die immediately, because something like that would take a dramatic amount of personal effort, and he's an old man. He's gonna die, and so it made sense. I accepted that. I had no problems with that scene. I had no problems with that as part of the narrative.
Right. By the way, hi Spiral.
Gavisas. Gavi is screaming like normal. Why do all my Gavisas turn into a shouting match?
I guess for the people that don't know all the legends for that, it just looked weird because you see him talking with Leia in 1 second. Although maybe fine, it's something that can happen, but it still is weird and breaks the immersion for all of us that have not read that book.
Right. I can understand that, and I mean it is kind of a weird thing, and it does and it doesn't kind of stretch the definition of what is possible in the Force.
Anything is possible with the Force.
True. And Nate, I just had some chocolate pie before I started, so I'm right there with you. It's delicious. But
what the heck, guys? Seriously, you didn't get me any?
Hey, you weren't there when it was being handed out. What can I say? I'm just the defenseless eater of it. But yeah, like there's I had no problem with that scene. I thought that was probably one of the strongest parts of the movie.
I enjoyed it. It just seemed odd.
Except for when Kylo Ren strikes at him, because Kylo Ren didn't realize that the lightsaber was broken. What's wrong with this guy? He has a half of it sitting in his quarters right now, and he doesn't realize that the lightsaber that Luke is using is a lightsaber that Luke cannot possibly be using. You're an idiot. I'm like, no!
Very, very true. Gabby.
I'm sorry. I get a little invested. I'm thinking maybe I should start reviewing not every movie, not a lot of movies, but like maybe one movie every quarter. Just so that y'all can feel my pain or understand, or I can get it out of me, and then I can be like therapy or something.
Let's go to positives. What was your favorite scene?
Favorite scene?
And why?
Man, the thing is, there are so many great scenes in this movie.
Well, one of your favorites, then, I guess.
Okay, well,
you're absolutely right.
Okay, from a purely cinematic perspective, and I am going to say a small negative on this in just a second, and I'll deal with it, and I'll move on with life, and I will be okay, probably. But from a purely cinematic perspective, the best, most beautiful scene in this entire movie is the destruction of Snoke's ship.
Oh, agreed.
That was gorgeous. There are insufficient words in the English language to describe how beautiful not just that spectacle of CG was, but how well it was shot, the angle, the token, the lighting, the destruction of the other Star Destroyers, the pacing, the complete silence as it happened.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, it's a John Williams score. Where's the music? Oh, it's space. There's no noise. This is beautiful. I love this. Yes! 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 1,000 yes! I'm like, yes! This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I love. This is Star Wars. Yes! And then I go, wait a second. And here's the small negative.
Yes?
They realized, or at least the one lady did, what's her name? Vice Admiral Holdo. She realizes, hey, I'm flying on a several million tons worth of hard projectile that I can launch at faster than light speeds at my enemy. What? Why didn't they do that to start with? They didn't even need to fire the big cruiser at it. They could have gotten the little medical frigate or one of the little transport ships. They could just shoot the thing shoot one of those at it, and it's like, oh, it's over. No, we did it. You did not need to use the big ship. You could use one of the little ones like, hey, we killed the guy.
I really want them to go into this and weaponize hyperspace. Like, seriously, it is the coolest idea ever. Like, just think, if you have a ship in another quadrant, or just like another area, it's not even seen by the ship, and you just go zooming in and you're like, well, we're screwed. Can you just send in the ship? It doesn't have to have people on it. You can just have some robot AI. They're smart enough to do that.
That's another problem I have with this scene.
That she does.
Okay, going back to A New Hope. The scene in the common area, Chewbacca and C-3PO and R2-D2 are sitting around the little game table. Chewbacca and R2-D2 are playing the game. C-3PO is watching, giving helpful advice to R2-D2. Luke is training with his lightsaber. Obi-Wan Kenobi is directing him. Han Solo comes in and sits down. Who's driving the ship?
AI.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Autopilot is a well-established part of the Star Wars mythos, and in Legends, of course, because they don't actually get into this level of it in regular canon series and everything like that. But in Legends, autopilot is capable of jumping you into a system, reorienting your ship, saying you're going to go that way now, and restarting the hyperdrive so that you can do 15 to 20 jumps and never be at the controls. Why didn't anybody think of this if you're going to launch a ship at the other people? And why didn't you think to do that in the first place if it was an option? Which clearly it was.
Why isn't hyperspace weaponized is my question. Like, long ago.
Because it's really dangerous. Like, really, 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 really dangerous. If you miss at all, your weapon goes someplace you cannot possibly imagine and will do untold damage. That's why hyperspace is not weaponized. And if you miss like a little bit more in the other direction, whatever else it is, it's gone forever, and there's no way back out. That's why hyperspace is so different from a lot of other like speed enhancing things in other series, because hyperspace is something you can get lost in. If you are off by just like this much, infinitesimally small measurements, if you're off by that much, then you're lost in the folds of hyperspace forever, and you never come back.
Well, you're not going to go on that ship anyways.
Huh? Well,
we're having AI. Well, you wouldn't drive it yourself.
If by the same token,
and then it hits. Yeah.
By the same token, with hyperspace, again, because it is so affected by gravity wells, if it passes too close to a gravity source, it will be pulled out of hyperspace, still traveling at those speeds, and crash into whatever's there. And what if that's an inhabited planet?
Let's hope that's not your allies.
Yeah. So,
I don't care. I still want to see it weaponized.
Well, it has been done. And it was beautiful. And it was gorgeous. And it was the most visually satisfying thing I saw on screen all last year. I saw nothing else in films last year that made me as happy to visually see it as that scene in The Last Jedi.
It was beautiful. My favorite scene was when they were fighting the Royal Red Guard, because they actually turned them into something. Because in the original Star Wars and such, they were just there. Yoda just knocked two of them out like they were regular troopers, like they were just fodder for the cannon and such.
Right.
These guys actually showed that they could do something. They could kick butt. That's what I really loved. Also, I really love the part when they just turn the lightsaber on for like a split second. It's kind of weird, and probably is kind of like shows that I'm a weird person, but I found that very, very satisfying.
Here's the thing. That is a great, I'll admit, that is a great lightsaber fight. I kind of still prefer, I'm going to be one of those weird people and say that I think the best lightsaber fight is the Phantom Menace against Darth Maul. But most of the reason why I like that lightsaber fight so much is the score. The Duel of the Fates is probably one of the best pieces of film music ever orchestrated ever. And that's just my opinion, and people can disagree with it. I don't care. This would be a very close second to me. It's very well choreographed, but even more so than being very well choreographed, the main action points in it feel like they were drawn out of like that little 5-year-old's greatest like vision of what it would be like to actually be in a lightsaber fight. Because I mean, I remember being younger and like pretending like I was lightsaber fighting with all my friends, and we'd go and like we'd lock blades. I turned mine off and turn it off, and I turned it back on, and like, we'd stab the guy. Ha ha ha! You can't do that. And like, and so I mean, like, it seems so fresh and childlike. It's like, oh yes, all the little things that we thought would be really cool to do in a lightsaber fight as a kid happened in this one. And I'm like, okay, I'm on board. I like this. This is cool. I'm happy. This is. I honestly was not quite as happy as I was in Rogue One watching Darth Vader just chop people up. But,
that was beautiful.
But I'm like, because I mean, like at them, and I'm watching that, and I'm like, I mean, I'm in the theater, and like the people like in the road in front of me are like, should we get out of here? This does not seem like a safe proposition. Can we go home now? I mean, I'll be honest. I get a little bit evil a lot of times, particularly when evil is present on screen. And that scene is unique unto its own self. It deserves special private mention all on its own. And we will some other time. But let's get back to this one. I love this scene. It's beautiful. I love the red. The red helps make this scene. It just feels dark and sinister and just completely encapsulates the entire thing. It gives a setting and a grandeur to it that is kind of absent from some other lightsaber fights, because it actually feels like it was orchestrated, like the Yoda fight in the Clone Wars. Cool fight, but it just kind of feels like they were fighting wherever they happened to be. This felt like a destination that they came to specifically to have a lightsaber duel, and that made it awesome to me. It's like it's not like, well, I'm gonna try and sneak up on you here and pull a blaster on you. It's like, we're gonna meet on the street at high noon. Whoever's slower and less accurate ain't walking home. It was that kind of. It was like, it felt like a Western to me. Like, hey, we came here to cause trouble, and we're killing everybody before we go home. It was great. I love this.
It was amazing. I really want to apply for partner, but I'm working. I mean, you probably have to stream more in general, anyways. Spiral. That's your requirement.
One of the requirements you have to stream, I think, 3 days a week consistently.
Oh, really? Is it?
Not like me. I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that there was minimum that you had to stream. I just thought that it was you had to have a consistent rate of 60 views.
I remember Kuya going through this, and every Sunday night he would bemoan to me that he was not being consistent enough, and I'm like, how much more consistent can you be? And then I found out, and then I was like, oh well, I don't have that kind of time. So
15 out of 60. Yeah, whatever. Close enough, okay?
Close enough.
Yeah. Do you actually post on your YouTube channel?
Ever so often. I have this will be posted up there, and there's another one that will be going up on January 30th, which is one I do every year.
Oh, nice.
That one will only be on YouTube, though. That will not be a stream and YouTube. That will just be YouTube. Because that's just where it's been. That's always where it will be.
And what is this thing?
It is my State of the Sasquatch address, and it will be airing at the exact same time as President Donald Trump presents his State of the Union address, and I'm going to see who gets more views.
If you win, if you get more views, I will buy you. I will make you some pies and cake. I mean pies and cookies. Cake's lie.
Hey, everybody watching, Start trending this. More views than Trump. Let's try and make this happen.
I would legit send you cookies.
I would completely accept those because I feel like I'd earn them if I got more viewers off that than Trump did. Because the thing is, people are going to watch Trump just to see what crazy thing he's going to say next.
It's Trump. I mean, that's all that needs to be said.
Pretty much, yeah. It's great. Anyway, back to the movie.
Yeah.
Because we're not through with this yet. We're so not through with this yet. I just remember 2 more things about this movie I didn't like. I'm gonna table those for now. I did. Okay, I know I said already that she was wasted material, but I did like the melee fight between Finn and Captain Phasma. I did really like that. I think they could have done better, like if they had kept her around, if they had given her more skill, if they had allowed her to win, really, and then be taken out of the fight somehow, not killed, but taken out somehow, kind of like how she ended up dying. They break the floor underneath her, she falls down, she can't get back there, they escape, because it's really all they're trying to do at that point anyway. They weren't trying to we're going to take this place. No, it's already falling apart. They're just trying to escape at this point. And so I think that would have been a really cool way to do that. Have them escape, have her get off, and then she can come back in episode 9 and be the big bad that we're always kind of hoping that she was going to be. But I really appreciated that fight. I wish they'd have given us a little bit more explanation on her weapon, because I felt like it was kind of just out there. But I mean,
it was just like a random staff.
Yeah, it was clearly made specifically for her because it was pointy on both ends, and symmetrical. But I didn't really feel like I had any sort of connection with her or with it, or why she had that, or why anyone would ever just be carrying around just a random metal pole with pointy ends.
Staff.
Yeah, and I'm I didn't really understand it, but I appreciated the visual of it, and I wish they'd have gotten a little bit more deeper into it.
I liked that they did use that. It was kind of cool to see a bow staff like that, but it didn't make sense.
Again, it was cool, but I wish it was one of those things that would have probably made a lot more sense if we'd have had more context or had seen her use it at any other time before. If they had given her enough screen time to be able to really showcase what it was, why she carried it, why she viewed that as a viable weapon over a blaster or some other thing. Because clearly those were in great supply around her. And she could have just hey, give me another gun, I'm going to shoot this guy.
And if they... Okay, I just thought of something. If they bring her back, that'll be the worst thing ever.
I agree. I think she's dead. She needs to stay dead.
Yeah.
Although
if they do...
Although at the same time, why do we have a series which is killing off all the villains and none of the heroes? There's no stakes. It's like watching Marvel and knowing how long the actors' contracts are going for. Oh, looks like Captain America could die. Oh, he still has 4 more movies on his contract. He'll be around for a while.
Yep.
It's oh.
You can't kill him. That's why I was excited or really disappointed when Finn didn't die, because yes, he's a pretty big character, but there's still the opportunity of him making an impact and dying. But no, they just have to let all the heroes live. It's lame.
Now here's a 2-parter of things that I liked, and a thing that I liked, and the thing that it came from that I think could have been made better. I talked earlier how I thought Rose was completely superfluous. She had no point of being in the movie. She did nothing, basically. Mm-hmm. And the thing that of the 2 things that might be said that she did do, the one that she actually contributed to doing was not a good thing.
Yeah.
But when she goes on that little trip with Finn, Dan Skull, hey there.
Hey, Dan.
Welcome. We're talking Star Wars Force Awakens. If you haven't seen the movie, run! Spoiler heavy territory. Very spoiler heavy territory.
That's what you should wear. You shouldn't wear that mask. You should just wear
a mask that says spoilers.
Yeah. Have you seen it, Dan? I hope so. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Okay. So in the part of the movie where they go to the gambling planet, which a lot of people have difficulties with that, Um, they don't like it. They think it was kind of needless. It slowed down the movie, which it did slow down the movie, but it was one of those things where it's like, aside from the fact that it didn't fit in with the rest of like how hyperspace works in every other Star Wars movie, I didn't really have a big problem with it. I think it would have been better if rather than Rose, they'd have sent Poe with Finn, because Oscar Isaac and John Boyega have fantastic on-screen chemistry, and that was so apparent in The Force Awakens. I mean, like when they're flying in the ship and they're talking back and forth, there's witty retorts and just barbs flying back and forth. Great on-screen chemistry. And like, I walked out of The Force Awakens most excited about having like a Poe and Finn buddy cop movie where they just fly around the galaxy getting into hijinks. I'm like, I want to see that movie. And I'm like, okay, this would have been a great chance to maybe not give them a full movie unto themselves, but at least kind of give us a taste or a feel of what it would have been like for like these two guys just like out on their own facing the galaxy, like, hey, we got to get this done, and just have that opportunity. But instead they sent Finn with Rose, who again completely useless character, and it kind of ended in nothing, except for the one thing that I really did like about that. I mean, like really, really, really did. Benicio del Toro's DJ. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I like Benicio del Toro as an actor anyway. In anything he's in, I'll watch it. I love it. He's great. He's a national treasure. What can I say? He could have done a terrible. He may have done a terrible job in this movie. I don't know. I was just like, it's Benicio del Toro. I'm so happy. Yeah, I have a problem. It's just really enjoy him as an actor. Although I'm a little bit worried about one of his upcoming film roles because I'm terrified they're going to just completely ruin it. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, moving on.
Oh, before I forget.
Yes, sir.
One of the best parts, one of my favorite parts, was when Maz Kanata was on and she was fighting the people that are against her. Yeah. That was just like her flipping on the shades and saying, screw it, I'm just going to wreck everyone.
Precisely.
I love that.
Yeah. Again, it was an aside. It wasn't necessary to the film, but it reconnected you with Maz, showed you she was still around, showed you just like she was like, bam, I'm Maz Kanata, I'm gonna shoot people, and we're like, whoa, okay, I'm on board with this here. Really, I love that part. It was like I said, it wasn't, or like you said, it wasn't a main part of the movie, but it was like enough of a part of the movie. We're like, okay, I'm on board with this. This is cool. I like this.
It showed that Maz wasn't just this old, cripply character like Yoda, just not doing much. Well, not like Yoda, but, you know, it's old, stuff like that. But she was more than that. There's more beneath her and everything.
And Dan Scale, my favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. That's the right answer.
I don't know if I can answer that, actually. There's too many good ones.
I like movies where the bad guy wins.
Honestly, same. It feels... You feel the tension. Every other movie has the good guy wins, but if the bad guy wins, it's like, wow, do bad guys actually win? Is that a thing? Is that possible? Is that allowed?
Spiral timeout piling for 20 minutes? No, I'm kidding. Don't do it. But I'm sorry. Piling. That's offensive. You've come to the wrong place.
Boyish, get this boy out of here.
I know some people who would ban for that.
Yep, that's what Star Wars is. Yep. Two stars crash into each other and there's a big boom.
Yep, sounds about right.
The end.
Anyway, other things we liked about the movie. I liked Domhnall Gleeson. I feel like they did. Huh?
Who's that?
General Hux.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like they're kind of not really using him. Because, and he said something in the movie which is kind of like world-breaking a little bit. Because he talks about when they're on the planet and he's like, and Kylo Ren is just like barking out orders. You take all these walkers and you kill that man. You fire on him. They start shooting at him and they start shooting at Luke and General Hux is like, "What are you doing commanding my army?" And then like Kylo Ren just throws him in the wall. And it's like, wait a second. Back up. this army doesn't belong to Snoke. This army does not belong to Kylo Ren. This army belongs to General Hux. How did that happen? There's a question which has been risen here, and I need to know why this is. I mean, like, General Hux, there's... Yeah.
General Hux piling.
Yeah, I think he's being facetious. But in case not, General Hux, Hux. And it's like, I feel like he has a really good performance to give as General Hux, but I feel like they kind of just relegated him to almost like comedy relief on the bad guy side.
He was the butt of the joke, and it was stupid.
Yeah, I'm like...
I actually really didn't like that, because last movie, he was the equivalent of almost like Hitler.
Yeah.
Like, his speech and everything, that was heavily based off of like World War II and that sort of thing. Very clearly. He was a fearful, or not fearful, fearsome.
Yeah.
Now he's just like, what? I'm getting prank called? What is this?
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
Oh, sorry, Pylang. I didn't remember that in particular, and that was not General Hux, so I claim...
Oh, yeah. That's when Poe is asking you who General who?
Yeah.
When he was playing with him,
which was
turning him into the butt of the joke.
Which was good, but I mean, it wasn't actually General Hux. It was the other guy who thought he was all that in a bag of chips, and then ended up just getting dumped on. But yeah.
No, he was talking to General Hux.
He was?
Yeah.
Alright, Sparrow, thanks for stopping in.
Hux.
Remember, the VOD will be on here, and I'll be posting this all up later on YouTube, so if you want to see all of it, I don't know why you would, but if you want to see all of it, you can go over there later on.
Adios, amigos.
This is just a lot of me yelling, and Oswyn being like, "Calm down, Gabby, calm down."
No, actually, most of the time when you get really loud, it just starts going out, so I can't actually hear it. So I'm just like, I'll just wait till he's done.
I just really hope that isn't actually happening with everything else on here.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I hope not. You guys have to tell me about that. They haven't complained about it going out, so I'm assuming it's okay.
Or maybe they're okay with it because they don't want to hear it.
Why are you here? Tell me, why are you here? I don't get it.
Oh man.
But I mean, BB-8 was also. I mean, he's fantastic. He's great.
Just for me, I guess then.
What?
For the cutouts, Swig said that's all good.
Okay, good. Very good. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of good things in this movie. And if this was like two submarines, like going through the water, and the two crews trying to go back and forth, like, okay, how do we do this, and having to like engineer some sort of madcap way to get people off the ship to try and find some other way to save them, I could like totally get down behind. This would be a great movie.
That would be really interesting.
But because it's a Star Wars movie, it ruins that whole possibility. Because within Star Wars, there exist things which have made every step along that path of two submarines going back and forth completely nonsensical. Whether it's the hyperspace to just jump through the ship, or whether it's the autopilot so nobody has to be on the ship, or the ability to just jump in front of the other ships. All the many different ways that they could have just ended it so quickly in Star Wars that weren't utilized. And it's like, well, why weren't they? Because they could have been. They wouldn't have been
that hard either.
Not at all. And
actually, what really bothered me, I was like cringing in my chair when Leia was leaving, and who was the person that sacrificed himself needlessly? Who was her name?
Vice Admiral Holdo. And yeah,
when she and Leia were talking, and it was all that like little, may the Force be with you. I felt like that was like a fan film, and it wasn't like it felt so fake and just wrong to me. It made me cringe.
I can understand. I was kind of into that scene because it finally turned a character who we were all supposed to hate into something like semi-legitimate, but at the same time, it was one of those. It was one of those things where it's like, it was clearly a final farewell, and I can get behind that really quickly. But at the same time, there was this underlying thing there where it's like, I see what you're doing, but I think you could be doing it better. And yes, The Force Awakens is just a gigantic lightsaber talks into the Force Awakens subplots. It's just completely just get rid of everything. Get rid of it. But I'll leave that aside. But I mean, in terms of General Vice Admiral Holdo, she had a good part to play. She really did. But they were, and again, a lot of the things that made people not like her would have been completely. I mean, she would have kind of been like a useless character had they sent Poe with Finn. But a lot of things that would have made you not like her would not have been an issue if they had sent Poe with Finn. If they would have decided to keep her as a character out there, you would have liked her a lot more in that regard.
Also, there was no reason.
She didn't seem to be completely, psychotic. Because and some of the things that she does seem to be psychotic because all she has to do to get to get Poe and Finn to settle down is be like, hey, here's the plan. There's a secret base we're going to be going past. Just hold your horses. We're going to fake them out. Oh,
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, no. Rather than that, we're just going to not tell you. We're going to throw you in the brig. We're going to lock you up. We're going to demote you. We're going to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, oh, well, why? What purpose did that serve?
Yeah, it would have been better if she told him.
Yeah.
There's no point in hiding it. Except for being a jerk.
Yeah, except for trying to deceive the audience. They were trying to make the audience think that something else was going on there. Like maybe she's on the First Order side and she's a spy or something like that, or she's incompetent, or she's a coward or something like that. And they're trying to put that in your head, but through the whole thing, there's something felt off about that narrative, and so your brain doesn't believe it. And I understand that she probably didn't trust him, but he was a hothead who went and did stuff behind her back anyway. She should have figured that out, told him in the first place, and got him to calm down.
Yeah, it would have been better to take the bullets out of the gun and let him know the plan. Plus, he
5 minutes before the big ship gets there, he took out another really big ship. Plus, he's the one who blew up Starkiller Base and blew up a bunch of other things. There is no ending where that ends favorably for Poe Dameron if the First Order wins. I don't care how hot-headed he is. If he goes and does something crazy, the only person he's going to hurt is himself. There's no way that he's going to be able to, really hurt anybody else other than himself by doing something hot-headed. And he's not going to be able to defect because no, you just killed 500,000 people 20 minutes ago. What's wrong with you? We're going to kill you right now. In fact, we're going to do it slowly. We're going to take that pokey stick that Captain Phasma has, and we're going to poke little holes in your legs all the way up until... I may be going a little bit overboard on this one.
Oh, man.
Bye, Dan Skull. Thank you for stopping in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing... There was no benefit to not telling him. I mean...
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. Not my favorite moment, not my favorite part, but my favorite recurring thing that happened in this movie was the moments between Rey and Kylo Ren. I was like... It was weird because they kind of cut back and forth, and you're like, are they actually seeing them? And then you realize that they are, seeing them in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start to have these great dialogues of just character development. Hey, we're both garbage people. And no, Tyler, I am not Snoke. If I was Snoke, I would have the answer that I wanted from this movie. You do have a good point, but now I'm General Hux. Deal with it.
I was really disappointed when Chewbacca didn't get to eat one of the porgs.
I know.
I really wanted to. I just gotta put that out there. I felt bad for Chewbacca. I wanted him to eat one.
I just realized something because I have the Force Awakens IMDb up here, and
All right.
I've been referencing it. This is the first Star Wars movie where Peter Mayhew has not played Chewbacca.
I didn't know that was his name, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I can understand why you wouldn't be. I understand why you would not be a fan of the Rey and Kylo therapy sessions, because it is weird. They do come off. They start very jarring, which I think was kind of the point with that one, and then they become a little bit more so, and then less so, and then they start raising questions, and you're not really sure what's going on. Is Luke turned to the dark side, which was kind of brilliant in that regard. But there creates a tension, and not just a contention, not just a tension, but like a deep bond between what Rey is and what Kylo Ren is, and it's totally opposite. You get to see like these polar opposites kind of play off back and forth to realize that the farthest poles that they think they are from each other are exactly the same, and they're like, oh. Well, maybe I have been wrong. Maybe I've been thinking wrong. But maybe Snoke is really not helping me. Maybe Luke is the bad guy. And it creates this great mystery and pathos around the situation. Where you're like, I don't know what's going on. The whole story just unravels in front of you. And you're like, I'm invested in this. I want to see. I would have been like really happy if they'd had like 4 or 5 more of those, or had them gone on longer, or built up some sort of interpersonal connection between. Hey. I will absolutely ship Kylo Ren and Rey. I will absolutely ship those two. Absolutely do it. I think that would be a great thing to do. It's certainly got to be better than Finn, who just can't make up his mind and going after everything that's female in the galaxy. I mean, next thing you know, he's going to wind up with an Escagian, and man, they can't even put that on television. Come on. Actually, take it back. They did do that on television one time.
I don't want to know what that is even.
But they're not, and that was another thing I really liked. I am glad, so happy, so immensely relieved that Rey is not a Skywalker. Oh, thank God. If that had done it for me, I would be done with Star Wars. I'm going Star Trek. Actually, Star Trek is bad right now too. I would find something else to put my time and effort into, and I'd be like, I'm done. I'm so done. The writers have lost their minds. They have no more originality. Hollywood is dead. I might as well just go live in the woods like I've been thinking about doing for 20 years anyway, and just completely leave all this crap behind because it's just not worth it anymore, because nobody has an original thought in their head anymore.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You want to move to the woods in Canada?
I don't really like Canada. They try to take my guns away, so...
oh, they did?
They would try to.
Oh, they would try to.
Yeah, they don't really like guns up there. So I'm thinking, like, well, if I tell you, then it's not a secret anymore. Yeah.
Well, if you ever go in the wilderness, take me with you.
I get what you're saying, Piling. I do. We don't know who they are. But I am more okay with not knowing who they are than I would be knowing that they were of Skywalker descent. That would be, to me, that would be the laziest bit of writing that anyone could possibly do in regard to Rey's parents. As lazy as just saying, well, they don't matter. As lazy as that is. And Kylo could have lied. He could have. But I don't think he did. I don't think he did. I don't have any proof on that, but I don't think he did. As lazy as it is to say that, well, they were nobody, they don't matter, and that is incredibly lazy writing. It is still not as lazy within the context of the Star Wars narrative as saying that she is a Skywalker. It is still not that lazy, because in Star Wars, it's become like, well, if it's super powerful, it must be a Skywalker. Somehow, some way, it's a Skywalker. And it's like, well, no, that just doesn't work in every situation. You have to have some creativity to be able to go beyond just saying, well, everyone that's powerful and can use the Force is a Skywalker. I mean, I heard a lot of great stories out there about, like, well, maybe she's Obi-Wan Kenobi's long-lost kid or grandkid or something like that. Well, I don't think Obi-Wan Kenobi would have ever done that, but okay, maybe that would have been cool. I heard a great fan theory about how she could have been, like, Darth Vader reincarnated, and that would have been a great thing to do, especially if
Oh,
they'd have
yeah, I
carried
heard
on
that one.
if they'd have carried on, Kylo Ren's fixation with being Darth Vader, and like, here's your grandfather reincarnated into this little girl, and you're like, oh wow, I don't know how to handle this, and she has all the power of Darth Vader. That would be so cool. Or even my fan theory was that it would be really cool if they took like Ezra Bridger from the Rebels series and somehow made her connected with him, because he's like this kind of wild card. And I was like, and so they have so much in common, like their traits, their characteristics, their power in the Course. And I'm like, yes, I want to see that. And then I'm a little disappointed that they aren't going to tell us, but I'm so much happier that they're not going to tell us at all than that they would say, well, she's a Skywalker. Because that's kind of like the pat answer. It's like saying, it's like, rather than say we're going to create, hey, she may never be a Skywalker, but she could be a Solo. Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, have you guys seen the meme?
No.
It's great. It's Rey in that scene where she's inviting him. She says, "Come with me, and you'll never be alone, and you won't have to be alone again." He says, "But Rey, I've always been Solo." I was like, oh yes, the meme gods love us still. I was, I'm sorry, I'm very easily entertained.
No, I love it.
Yeah, so it's, I'm just so happy that she is not a Skywalker. But again, she could be a Solo.
That would be cool if we saw something about Ahsoka.
I think Ahsoka's going to die before the end of Rebels. It makes sense. I think pretty much everybody's going to die before the end of Rebels. If they carry, again, it's a children's show, so there may be a limit to what they're going to show on there. But I think a lot of people are going to die before the end of Rebels.
Hey, I am your brother.
If they do that, it'll be like, I'm done. I'm through with the Star Wars. I'm just nope.
And the audience says no.
The uncut version from Episode 3. No. Look it up. It's bad. It's apparently I didn't see Episode 3 in the theaters. Actually, you know what? I do have the original. I have the original theatrical cut through some questionable means, where you actually get to see the original No as part of the movie, and it's like, is she gonna stop? Again, totally aside from this, how did that ever become a thing in film, where it's just like, no? Okay, I get it. You're sad. You're upset. You aren't sure how to express your feelings, but nobody does that. Nobody does that. People can cry. They can wail. They can. He's Darth Vader. He can cry. I think that would have been better if you'd have torn a hole open in the side of the thing and jumped out on Coruscant and killed 50 people. Also, that would be a much more Darth Vader reaction. I may still be a little bit, okay, I get what you're saying, Pylang. I get it, but it's, I do get a little bit wrapped up in the whole mythos of Darth Vader being just like this mad dog killer person, just like, ravager of worlds. But I think that would have been like a much better way to express his anger at the situation than to be like,
it'd been great if he killed Palpatine right there on the spot.
It would have been cool, but it would have messed up this whole storyline. So I can understand him not doing that, but attack Palpatine, feel the anger, so show him, and then Palpatine blasting him back with Force lightning, and he's like, turns on the lightsaber, just hacks his way through the wall, hacks his way through the wall, Kylo Ren style, jumps down and just starts impaling people until he can be restrained by the Emperor. That would be great cinema. It would raise the rating of Episode 3.
Oh my gosh.
You see I can't reference that movie directly. But you see a clone trooper being held up in the air on his a cybernetically enhanced arm with a lightsaber sticking through his middle, and his limbs are twitching around and it's at me, and it's like, I get some really vivid imagery sometimes.
I think that's far enough. It's okay.
I should make movies.
You should.
But
I would watch them.
Just to see how far they let me go before they stop me.
Before they call security and they're like, get this madman out of.
And then I'd be on the Tonight Show like 3 weeks later. I was going to have 15,000 more people get just absolutely dismembered on screen, but the stupid studio wouldn't let me do it. What's wrong with these people? I don't understand what good movies are anymore. What's wrong with these people? They're supposed to be more bright and violent and gorgeous. Yeah, come on. What's his name? Scorsese? No, that's it's also Scorsese. But what's the guy's name? Quentin Tarantino's going to retire after the next movie anyway. Who cares? They need somebody else. Just.
Oh my gosh.
Precisely, Pylang. It would create consistency if he powdered and chopped more stuff up. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
This brings up an interesting question in my mind. What is your favorite time era for Star Wars? Old Republic, the New Republic, so on and so on, so on and forth. The new era that's being made right now.
My favorite era is actually Expanded Universe, and it's the time directly after Return of the Jedi. Because in that time era, there was a trilogy of books, which I still maintain to this day should have been episodes 7, 8, 9. Rather than whatever the 7 and the 8 and the 9 we're going to get, I think those should have been 7, 8, and 9 because they were so great and so well done, and in my opinion, the greatest Star Wars story ever told.
What were they about exactly, the books?
They're called the Thrawn Trilogy. They're written by an author named Timothy Zahn.
Thrawn.
Yep. And
wait, shoot. No, that's Old Republic.
Nope,
Thrawn?
Thrawn is Imperial to New
Oh,
Republic.
Thrawn. Okay, yeah. He's in Rebels.
He's in Rebels. They brought him into he is so great a character that they took him from Legends and brought him back into canon. And
he is amazing.
And I think he would have been much better. I think that his original run, as written by Timothy Zahn, would have made for a much better trilogy of movies, 7, 8, 9, than anything else that we are making or could have made. Because, in my opinion, it's the greatest Star Wars story ever told.
Just like, even watching one episode with him in it, I'm sure anyone could see that he is not to be messed with.
Oh, do not try. When there's a book called...
even if you beat him, he looks at it and says, interesting. Now I know how to beat you next time.
Yeah, even in his initial run, like his introduction, it's hinted at in the trilogy, but there's actually another book called Outbound Flight, also written by Timothy Zahn. His character, he's allowed to write the origin. Where they show how Thrawn is found, and it's actually this Jedi expeditionary force led by Jedi Master Joruus C'baoth, and he goes out to this planet and just they're exploring the Outer Rim, trying to find a way outside of their galaxy, and they find Thrawn, or they find something on the planet. They're not sure what it is, and it actually is Thrawn, and it's killing everybody. And and I mean, it's just we cannot deal with this because everything we try and do to stop it, it anticipates, counteracts it, and kills us with what we tried to do to it. And it's Thrawn, and he's been exiled from his people, the Chiss, for being just so brilliantly devious and masterminding that they're we can't deal with you anymore. You have to go. And so they somehow capture him and send him off this planet. And then years after that, the Empire comes in and finds the same planet, following the same path of outbound flight, and he kills a legion of stormtroopers by himself and ends up having to be stopped by Darth Vader personally in order to get him to stop killing everybody that they send to this planet. And he's like, "Where's your army? Where's your troops?" He's like, "Oh, it's just me.
It's just me. Put on the shades, boys. Put on the shades."
and so they bring him back, and he's the only alien in the entire Empire to not just get of high rank, not just be a captain of a ship, not just be an admiral, but to become a Grand Admiral. So like in the Order of the Imperial Navy, it's Captain, it's Commander, Brigadier, whatever it goes, and the Admiral.
So forth and so on.
You can get up to like Grand Moff Tarkin, and Grand Moff Tarkin, he's a big guy. He's more of a political figure, but he also has some military power. And above Grand Moffs, there is Grand Admiral. Grand Admiral is like the next tier above Grand Admiral is Darth Vader, and nobody is above Darth Vader except the Emperor. And so
Emperor, yeah.
And so the Grand Admirals take their orders directly from the Emperor and have the ability, in certain circumstances, to override orders given directly by Darth Vader. That's how powerful the Grand Admirals are. And he's an alien in a completely xenophobic and intentionally xenophobic society. He is the only one who is able to go, I'm not just good, I'm great, and I will be the highest position in your little thing you have going on here because I am that great. And everyone goes, yes, sir. That's how great Grand Admiral Thrawn is. And what do they do? I mean, he's great in Rebels. He's great. But they have to pigeonhole him to a certain extent in Rebels because he's too great for the material.
Yep. The Rebels would be ended if he was to his full potential.
Why'd they kill off Akbar Pylang? Precisely because of the whole thrust of the movie.
Akbar.
We're going to kill everything. We're going to end everything that was from times before, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to do something different.
Remind me who Akbar is.
It's a trap.
Oh yeah, that guy. Okay.
Yeah. Admiral Akbar. May he rest in pieces.
That's a rap. That's a frap. It's a trap.
I'm not gonna know. Okay. I know. That was the theme of the movie, and they did that theme very well. But I'm really, you know what I think Star Wars needs right now, more than anything else. Star Wars needs a Kevin Feige.
The heroes to die.
Star Wars needs a Kevin Feige.
I don't know who that is.
Kevin Feige is the executive producer in charge of all of the MCU movies. Everything that Marvel's putting out.
Ooh.
And you know why Kevin Feige is so important?
Why? Tell me.
Because he keeps the story consistent. He says, here is our narrative. You are directing this movie. Anything you do in this movie cannot contradict what happened in this movie, and it cannot stop what we're going to do in this movie. Anything else is free game. Have fun. But you cannot contradict this, and you cannot prevent that. So do whatever else you want. But let's do that. I don't know if he is with DC right now or not. If he is, then Marvel movies are probably going to get a lot worse, and DC movies are probably going to get a lot better. Because he's very, very good at what he does. He maintains the story. And he's been doing a fantastic job with Marvel, and if he is now at DC, he's probably going to do a fantastic job over there. And I'm not necessarily saying that we need Kevin Feige himself. I'm saying we need somebody like him for Star Wars to be able to carry that franchise through on a consistent basis without every director saying, well, I don't like what you did before, so I'm going to completely dump on whatever it is that you did and put a lightsaber through it and grind it to powder and shoot it out of a Death Star cannon and then do my own thing. I'm going to line up with you, and I'm going to say, okay, here is the story. Here is the narrative. Here's how it goes. Anything else, anything extra I want to throw in there, any new characters I want to introduce, I can do that, but I cannot, mess with the narrative. Yeah, making groceries. This will be on YouTube. Come back after you've seen the movie. Don't stay here for spoilers, because we are definitely in spoiler territory. Deep spoiler territory. But do watch the movie.
Passed that a while ago.
Yeah.
This is kind of just minor spoilers.
But
now.
he's coming in late. Well, we are and we aren't, because we are referencing a lot of stuff that is spoilery.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But Making Groceries, how you doing, man? Good to see ya.
I don't know if he's still here or not. But pouting,
it was good to see you.
Pouting like Anakin is a thing. Hey, it worked for him. He got the girl until he killed her. It's a thing. It happened. It's tragic, but it happened. Oswyn, anything else that you found really, really great about this film? Oswyn?
Sorry, I was muted for a moment. Let me think.
Like
That we did not touch base on.
I like the new ship designs.
Oh. Ooh. One thing. When I saw the scene where it was Luke versus Kylo, and they're both standing far apart, they have their lightsabers out. And it was the wide angle.
Yeah.
That was probably second on my list of most beautiful things. Second to when they turned around and shot the hyperspace into the fleet. That was the most beautiful thing, and the second I saw that, I was like, I want this as my background on my computer. I need to find an image.
I totally agree. That was. Thank you for reminding me. Actually, that was great. That entire sequence where Luke actually steps out of the bunker and fights Kylo and talks with him and all this, that was so meaningful. I mean, it gave Luke something to do. I mean, not just like, okay, well, he's gonna be the hermit, he's gonna be the wise master. He's not gonna be a teacher. He's not gonna be a teacher or anything else like that. But it gave Luke purpose in the film. And I mean, not just purpose in the film, but purpose within the entire scope of Star Wars, where it's like you saw the Jedi Master that he was supposed to be. I mean, understanding entirely that this was just a astral projection or whatever it was into that place. When everything started shooting at him, I'm like, on the one hand, I was like, hey, it'd be really cool if Luke actually died from that. On the other hand, I was like, there's no way Luke is dying from that because he's Luke, and Luke isn't going to die from that. Not because he's a main character, but because he is Luke Skywalker, Grand Master of the Jedi Knights. He is not going to die from that. He may not live through this movie. He may get stabbed by Kylo Ren in the next 5 seconds. But he is not going to die from that because he's Luke. He is the embodiment of the Force. He is great. He's powerful. You get the sense that as soon as they start shooting at him, although it would have been interesting, it would have been kind of comedic, actually, if they had killed him there, he was not going to. And I mean, Kylo Ren, his reaction to it was so I mean, Adam Driver, again, I love his performance. He's great. I'm sorry. He was so visceral. He's like, kill him, fire everything, shoot him, burn a hole in the ground where he stands. And it didn't work. And then you see this fear come across his face, and he's like, I can't fight that. I can't fight that. I can't fight that. But if I don't, I've lost, and I can't lose. And then he comes down. Then he walks up, and then he goes, I will fight you one-on-one. And you could see from the start that Kylo Ren expected to lose that fight. That was the impression I got from Adam Driver's performance there. I could be wrong.
I did not get the same impression.
But I'm like, he was angry, but he did not expect to win. And then he started to go, and he started to fight, and he's like, no, I can do this. I can. And he started to build confidence. I'm stronger. I'm faster. I have the dark side. I can push him back. I can kill him. And he started gaining confidence. But it was Luke letting him feel that. And Luke finally steps back and he just says, if you strike me in anger, you've lost. And Kylo Ren goes, no. I've been winning. I've been growing in power. I've been growing in strength. I can defeat you. And then he makes the strike, which again, I think that because Luke told him that, and Kylo Ren should know enough about the history of Star Wars and everything else like that he should have gone like, no, this is a bad idea. This is going to end with my death at some point in the future, which we all know that's now where it's going. We're not going to have the Kylo Ren Rey flip, which I was really hoping for personally, because there's some fantastic fan art out there of that, and Stray needs to put those lightsabers on the end of her staff anyway and just do it, dadgummit.
That's one thing that I didn't talk about. Gosh dang it, I wanted Rey to join him right then.
No, and when he holds out his hand, I'm like, when I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, when I saw the trailer of him holding his, I need a teacher, and he holds out his hand, I'm like, oh, yes, this, right, just you know, I'm maybe no, I actually am not over dramatizing my reaction to that. I was like, we are gonna have a protagonist bad guy in Star Wars. I'm saying I was mildly enthusiastic about it.
I don't think he liked it.
Just mildly enthusiastic, and I'm like, yes! I mean, particularly because I saw all that great fan art, and because I'm shipping, you know, Kylo Ren and Rey. And if they're both on the same side, it just makes things a lot easier. And then I mean, like I said, she'll never be a Skywalker, but she could be a Solo. And and then so I see this happen, I'm like, yes! Oh, the windows of heaven have opened up and shine down their glory upon me, and I'm about to partake of something wonderful. And so I was a little disappointed that she didn't, but I understand that they didn't, and they're trying to just create that parallel between that and the Return of the Jedi lines, because they're using the exact same words. But, not to rehash things they've already gone through, but I mean, like, that scene was so great, and then he does make the attack on Luke. And Luke's lines to him are so great. You know, everything you just said is false. It's like, okay, I get what you're doing here. Yeah, okay, I see it, Luke. You're good, you're fun. And then just that offhand remark, just be seeing you, kid. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Luke, you're just great.
That the way that if I was doing it, I would have had him not say come let's rule the galaxy, but something more along the lines of come let's create a new order that is not corrupt like the Sith or the Jedi, and just started anew. That would have been beautiful to see.
That would have been a lot more convincing, I think. Okay.
And like if he put it in a different way than let's just go take over the galaxy, I have no doubt that Rey would say yes, because they've been force talking or whatever the heck what the communication is.
I would totally agree with you. I think this would have been. I think just about any other way would have been more convincing to say that than hey, let's conquer the galaxy. But I mean, because logistical question. Why would anybody want to conquer the galaxy?
So you can kind of like climbing Mount Everest.
I know,
so
but I mean, like, after you've conquered it, you have to do something with it. Otherwise, it's just going to give you a gigantic headache, because everybody's going to be crying, I need this, I need that, you're being cruel, you're trying to rule us too toughly, you're taxing us too much. Who could... I don't like becoming the president.
Everyone just whines.
No kidding. And so it's like, I mean, who would ever want this? Who would ever legitimately, in a right frame of mind, want to rule the galaxy? Oh my word. I cannot think of anything more tedious or boring or mind-numbing than trying to run a galaxy full of people who are just going to cry to you every 5 seconds about how their life is terrible.
Well, you really don't listen to them. You just kind of end them. And sweep them under the rug, so...
True. That would be what I would do, but...
Just chop them, exactly.
But if you chop them, what was the point of taking over the galaxy in the first place? I think, like, in that context, a planet. Pick one planet that you can say, this is mine. Anybody that comes here is dead. That I don't want to have on this planet is dead. But just...
You want to be Mandalorian?
What?
You want to be a Mandalorian, then?
Someday, I will have the money, and I will make the greatest set of on-Earth Mandalorian armor ever made, and I will join the Mando Mercs, and I will show up to all the things.
Okay.
And I will make people very jealous of me.
Sidetrack. I am actually procrastinating, but I'm still in the process of trying to make Mandalorian armor. I have templates. I just need to get my lazy butt up and start getting materials.
What materials are you going to use?
EVA foam.
Okay. That's pretty standard. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I have a friend who is a certified blacksmith.
Oh, gosh.
Offered to build me a set of any suit of armor I could imagine. $8,000.
Oh, God. I was about to say hook me up, but I'm good, man.
Like I said, someday I will have the money, and I'll get to myself the greatest set of Mandalorian armor that this world has ever seen.
What if you just ask him for a helmet?
Nope. Insufficient. Insufficient.
No.
I mean, I've made like really cheap suits of armor before, not Mandalorian. And
EVA foam suits or?
I'll send you a picture later, Oswyn.
I need to see this.
Actually, you know what? I can probably send it to you right now. I'll send it on well, maybe not right now because we're streaming right now. We'll do that later. But it's like my materials were foam placemats that were cut with an X-Acto knife and then riveted and held together with paracord. and Velcro and some elastic. But hey, it actually came out pretty good. I'm just gonna say.
What were you making exactly?
Remember I said I was a superhero a couple years ago, and that this is my cape from that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I made my superhero costume. It was like I said, it was a children's program. It's called Ironclad, and so it's supposed to look like iron armor, ish. And so the character's created by somebody else, and so the colors were red and green, and so I did like these red foam or like vinyl placemat type of things, and I cut them into armor pieces, wore the cape, and had a helmet and everything else like that, and it was pretty good.
Nice.
Also, I was a little bit disappointed.
How so?
Because when they were going to the gambling planet, they're talking about, this rich guy, he's like super, just controls everything. I'm like, are we about to see a random Billy D. Williams cameo? Lando? Thank you for reminding me, Pai Lang. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting excited again. And then they're like, no, it's not him. I'm like, oh.
Wait, was Lando really rich?
He was the governor of a planet.
I know, but
that tends to accumulate with it some riches. And in the expanded universe, he gets like super crazy, unbelievably rich, like 18 times, and loses it all every time. He's the guy with a million schemes and none of them work, or they work, and then like the Empire would come through and be like, we have big blasters. We're going to blow big holes in your mining operation and in your private city and in your, everything that your hand touches. We're just gonna blow big holes in. I'm like, leave the guy alone. He's not even trying to fight you people anymore. He just wants to make a semi-honest buck.
Yeah, emphasis on semi.
Some things we just have to sweep under the rug. It's just how life works. Just how life works. That's good.
Sure.
Last two things, because I do need to get up tomorrow. I need to be in some. Believe it or not, I have expended a lot of energy doing this podcast tonight. I'm sure that's a real stretch of the imagination for everybody here, but I mean, I expended some energy doing this here.
I'm enjoying myself.
But there's two things that I do want to mention, and they're both, unfortunately, one of them is kind of a negative, and the other one, I'll think about that a little longer and see if I'll think about that one while I talk about this one. Yoda.
Yes.
It was fantastic. It was great. It was beautiful to hear Frank Oz's voice doing Yoda again. I think that entire sequence could have been cut or been redone somehow other way, where Luke didn't have to have one of his old teachers come back from the dead again to talk him out of his slump. I think it would have been much more powerful if Luke had come to those conclusions on his own and had acted accordingly. But instead, he goes right back to being the student, and for all the power and the might that we understand Luke to have, and that we see him demonstrate in that last beautiful, glorious, just spirit-lifting scene against him and Kylo Ren. it makes you wonder how he ever mustered that up when he still had to have Yoda come back from the dead again to be like, hey, you don't need all this crap. Just be the Jedi that you're born to be. And he's like, oh, right. Duh. Stupid. I made a mistake. I doesn't have to dominate the rest of my life. I can just get back up and fix this. It was so great if like they had shown like that moment of realization where it's like, okay, Rey is flying away, and you just see this, the disgust in his face like slowly turn to realization to be like, wait a second. I'm judging her for trying to make the exact same difference that I always wanted to see come to pass in the galaxy.
Yep.
But she's doing it, and I'm just sitting here on a planet waiting to die. And then like see the remorse and like have him turn away from the camera and start that like pick up, do the walking stick routine, like where as he walks, he like reaches out and pulls a staff to him, and like slowly, methodically, and ever more like dejectedly walking up those stairs. And you're like, he's like a broken man. And then to see him come back at the end, revitalized, having come to that recognition and that realization in the Force, like, I can still make a difference. There's still good I can do. There's still a powerful might. And coming to that realization all on his own and not having to call upon or be dependent upon the benevolence of a spirit being coming back and showing people the way that they should go. It kind of reduced Luke when it could have so powerfully uplifted his character. And yes, it was cool how Yoda blasted the tree. I got that was cool. I'm not saying that it was not a cool scene. I'm not saying that it was not a fun scene. I'm not saying it was not an enjoyable scene. I'm saying that it was a scene which was unnecessary and perhaps did not help the story, because the story could have been better had they allowed Luke to come to that realization all on his own.
Indeed. Indeed.
It was one of those. I saw it when I saw how that scene was playing out with Yoda. It was like in the theater. I'm like, no, Luke. I was like Obi-Wan in Episode 5. That boy was our last hope. And it's like, save the last scenes in Last Jedi.
What?
I'm not sure what you're saying, Pylane.
I concur on that.
Read the line before. So Luke has never... Oh! Okay, I got it. Missed that part. He said to him, Luke has never been all that great, except for the last scenes in Last Jedi. I can understand that sentiment. I think a lot of the expectation that came upon Luke for this one was not actually for Luke himself, but for Mark Hamill playing Luke. Because since the Return of the Jedi, Mark Hamill has made a name for himself as a voice actor, and he's now almost more well known for playing the Joker than he is Luke Skywalker. And they could have really put just about any other actor in there as Luke Skywalker, and because of like the way that Mark Hamill has aged, nobody probably would have even noticed, other than the people who read the titles, the title credits.
Yeah.
But because they put Mark Hamill in there, there was an expectation put upon Luke, which was never... I mean, even though you're saying he's the chosen one all through the first 3 movies, even though you say that, there was an expectation put upon him simply because it was Mark Hamill, and that we know him to have greatness inside. And we expect his characters to be great. Not just, okay, but to have a greater sense of self and self-worth than anything else that's going to be on screen, that thing. And we find, instead, this broken character who... he starts in a position of strength being broken, because he knows exactly why he's on that island. He knows exactly what he's doing. His motives are questionable, but he knows exactly why he's there. He knows exactly what he's doing, and you have to give him credit for that. But there is just this feeling of like disappointment when you realize how weak he is in just holding on to these books and not really understanding or grasping the power that's the power that lives inside of him. I had to. It was there every time.
I don't even know what that's from.
Pokemon gotta get. Okay.
Oh wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Teach
wait.
Pokemon to understand the power that's inside Pokemon.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. He asked, "Bai Lang, you've had enough singing tonight. Believe me, we've had enough singing tonight." It's really hard to. Oh, that is such a hard song not to just sing along to. Darn you, Bai Lang. Also me, because I started it. Anyway, now you know why I wear a mask. So when I slap myself, it doesn't hurt as bad. Anyway, I don't know where that came from. I'm tired.
You should probably end it so you can get good night's sleep for work.
I should. I'm gonna be so dead tomorrow.
I mean, actually, I have work tomorrow morning as well.
All right. Yeah, but again, I cannot say how there are so many parts of this movie which I so thoroughly enjoyed, and the movie itself is great. It is a fantastic movie, and there's so much cool stuff, and there's so much cool stuff and so much cool Star Wars stuff, which is introduced and brought to best and shown in front of you, and the lightsaber fights and the hyperspace ship missile. That needs to be a hashtag. Actually, whoever we're gonna raid with that hashtag hyperspace ship missile. Hashtag hyperspace ship.
Just make sure you pronounce the.
There we go.
E, because otherwise,
I know. There we go.
I thought you said something else.
I would never say that, Oswyn. How dare you?
I know.
How dare you even intimate that? Because this is a family-friendly stream, dadgummit. Even though we've been talking about dismemberment and twitching limbs and the needless slaughter of tens of thousands of people, but
we need help.
I thought it was okay. Never mind.
No, we.
Okay.
Sweet
All right.
dreams, kids.
Don't worry about the blood. It'll only get you after you're asleep. I'm sorry. Oh, there's something so wrong with me.
Hey, at least you're not normal. That would be horrifying.
I'm still sorry about that, Nate. I don't know who your friend was. I didn't even know your friend was there. In my defense, I thought this was home folks tonight. I didn't know there was anybody else on the internet who was stupid enough to turn up for a Gabby cast. Oh, so I apologize for that. But wow, that was a long time ago. Anyway.
Oh man, oh man.
Anyway, we need to wrap this up. So, but yeah, it's a great film. If you haven't seen it, do see it. It is a great movie. It is not as great as Star Wars movie, in my opinion. There are a lot of things that could have been done differently. They could have even kept a lot of the same story attributes. If they had just changed the presentation on them, like I said. Replace Rose on that wild trip to nowhere with Poe, and it becomes like one of the greatest buddy cop things of all time. I love that. She ain't interested no more, I guarantee you that. Yeah, I do apologize to your friend. I didn't mean to offend her. Oh, well, that is a thing too. If she left her food there, I suppose that is
game.
Just a fair game. Open season. More power to you. Godspeed. No, wait. May the Force be with you. I don't know.
May it be with you forever, Master.
The Force will be with you always. Yeah. Let's call this to a close. Let's find somebody to raid.
I have a bad feeling about this.
That is probably a very, very wise feeling to have. Oh, I know who we're rating.
Oh, I know. I knew who we were rating before you and started. I already knew.
I didn't know you were streaming tonight, but I do now. All right, everybody, we're gonna go over. We're gonna raid Miles Pernicious. We're gonna tell him what a terrible, terrible thing I've done to everybody in their movie viewing experience. Let me get this set up here. Raid at Miles Pernicious. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. Head on over there. Or actually, I believe now you can say here, it's been a while since I raided somebody on my own. We're going to raid with hyperspace ship missile, and we're going to totally just ruin his night. So, and remember, in case people are like Oswyn and think it's funny to mispronounce that word, that he does also run a very family-friendly chat over there, so you will not get away with changing the lettering.
I'm so sorry. I need sleep.
We all need sleep, Oswyn, but it is not yet to come. So, we are not going there. Someday I will be on a Demo stream and we will have that poker night that we've been threatening to have for like a year now. But
that sounds fun, actually.
We have not. I don't think you're allowed to come to that one, Oswyn. How old are you?
Never mind.
Yeah, precisely, son of swag. Abort! Abort! You know, I realize the one disadvantage to this. I have a very emotive face. When I start talking very animated in a very animated fashion, it's not. My face matches that. But unless I get to 1,000 followers, you all may never know.
That's literally one of the best traits you have. How animated you are.
Sometimes sometimes it's not really intentional. A lot of stuff here tonight was not really intentional. I was just getting into the explanation.
Just take it as a compliment, okay?
I don't like compliments. I don't know how. I'm so used to being insulted by myself, but I don't know how to handle it when other people compliment me.
Or Kuya.
Well, I was doing it long before he was. So when you're 18, I may show you some stuff I've done before, but not until then.
Oh my god. I don't run. Run.
Hey. Never mind. I'm not going to dig that hole any further. Let's just say that I have been a part of things before which were not family friendly, and we will leave it right there. And we will go on tonight, and we will have a good time rating Miles. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Oswyn. Let's get a shout out here for Oswyn. Someone, I think it's me, at Sir Oswyn. There we go. There we go. Shout out to Oswyn.
Two of the three people are my mods, so I hope they're following.
If they're not, you have problems. But I mean, it's
have problems.
It's a thought that counts, right?
Right. Indeed.
Oswyn, shout yourself out. You don't have. I mean, you don't have to refollow them. It's just totally up to you. I'm not going to make anybody do it. I don't want to.
Swag, don't you dare! Don't you dare, Swag.
Anyway. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. I know I have. Oswyn, I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Indeed I have.
Oh, that's
I
good.
don't know how else I would have spent my night.
I could probably think of about 1,000 different ways that would be a whole lot more productive, but
they wouldn't be as fun.
I'm glad you said that, because it has been a lot of fun having you on here, having you to talk with and bounce my crazy fan theories off of, and my completely insane ramblings about how I think the movie could have been better, or what I would have done differently had I been the director and the writer and everything else. So thank you.
I can't tell if that's sarcastic, Swag. This has been extremely entertaining. No, it isn't. Oh, good.
If it was sarcastic, he would have capitalized extremely. I think. Swag.
You never know these days.
I don't know if I know you well enough. Anyway. So with that, thank you all again for watching. It has been a blast for me. It has been a lot of fun. If you would be so inclined, I'll be streaming again on Saturday. I'm going to be doing some Fortnite PvE. At least that's what the plan is. If that changes, I'll let you know then. Oswyn, thank you again for coming on.
Indeed.
Providing helpful insight.
It was my joy.
A grounding to reality.
My pleasure.
For keeping me from going completely stark raving mad. Actually, wait a second. You didn't stop me from doing that at all. Why were you? Sorry. I'm gonna stop. I'll stop.
This is the longest ending ever.
No, it's not.
Longer than mine.
No, it's not. I have ended a stream for an hour before, but I will not do that tonight.
Can you help us? Yes, Nate.
All right. This time for real. Though we're gonna go over. We're gonna raid Miles Pernicious. Thank you all. It's been great. I will see you all Saturday. Good night, everybody, and thank you, Sir Oswyn.
Wear your seatbelts.